Welcome to Comics League Dark. I'm here with the boys. I got Mr. JJheat. What's up, my brother?
What's up?
Not impressed.
And we got this little guy.
I am Phoenix.
Sorry, I had to trick up my sleeve.
Oh, Moses, smell the roses.
Sorry, he finally cooperated. I had to do it.
No, I'm saying I finally got the Seinfeld clips in.
So the fourth panel member is Drake. My one of my pet rats. He's joining us for the panel tonight. He'll be kind of popping in and out. So yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be popping in and out. But and then right near him, there's another one named Josh. So and Megan. There's Crazy Steve.
No, Drake is named after Nathan Drake.
Okay, that's solid. So
you can't deny the cuteness. Come on,
I can't deny it. So we got a packed show for you all today. We're talking about Dawn of DCU. We're talking about David Zaslav saying he only wants one Batman in this comprehensive timeline. We're talking
Rip Patterson.
We're talking Screecher. We're talking tons of great stuff. So let's start off. Let's talk about some Dawn of DCU stuff. So I got an article that I wanted to share. That's actually, no, this is good because here's what I saw today. So here's the article and what it looks like. So forging the future, one hero at a time. What this looks like, so it's a relaunch. What this looks like is that they're going to be launching these books one family at a time. Like they're going to do the Superman stuff first, establish the precedent. And it's going to be a 1-year event. So it looks like Zaslav basically told DC Comics, you have 1 year to make it work. And then we're actually going to just,
oh my.
We got a fan. Oh my. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Where's that? Oh my. I need that oh my clip, Nick. But
oh my.
Yes. So
but the fun fact, the Superboy Man of Tomorrow was the round robin winner, and that book got delayed pretty much all year long. I'm surprised it's even getting released. I thought they were so.
But can I say, so we're gonna get a Green Arrow book written by Joshua Williamson. Sign me the frick up. And my one red flag is Mariko Tamaki writing Green Lantern Hal Jordan. I'm like, oh no.
Okay.
Oh no.
Okay, she's good at graphic novel, graphic novel, or light novel, queer, LGBTQ coming out stories.
What's up,
But she cannot write a superhero story to save her life.
Well, put her on Batwoman then. Problem solved.
That's even worse.
Actually, you know what's kind of funny? Her Batman run was actually pretty decent in the beginning.
Okay, yeah, she kind of got screwed over by editorial because she was switching stories left and right. So I will give you that.
Again, Tavia, they're not doing that because all the marketing for this event was John Kent being essentially becoming Electric Blue Superboy. Yes, I call him Superboy because there's only one Superman, and his name is Clark Kent.
And that takes us to our first topic. Zaslav's synergy. Zaslav wants complete and utter synergy going forward. Now, there's still going to be a transition with all the future state, 5G retooling material, and that's basically what Dawn of the DCU essentially is. It's basically a shuffling of the writers. Like Jared said, you have 1 year to make it work, and we're just going to go by the numbers.
Are we having a Dawn of Justice?
Okay, that is actually really good. That is actually honestly really good, and I have a special clip for that. I think. Wait, I'll give you this one, Nick.
Wait a minute.
I'm trying out.
You've been watching Seinfeld lately, haven't you?
Yeah, it's just what I realized today is that there's so many clippable moments in that show that I have to use some stuff from there.
Please tell me you're gonna grab. But I don't want to be a pirate.
Actually, I need that one, but I will grab that one, Nick. So anyway,
you got any Friends clips in there?
I will get some. But by the way,
we were on a break.
I was in the pool. But what's interesting? So Jon Stewart is getting his very own book by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Oh hell yes, yes. Kenny Porter's doing Superboy. We got Tom King doing Batman, which I'm like, I like a lot of his Batman. So let's see if he can do this right.
I don't care if it was editorial. Issue 50 onwards was bloody inexcusable.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to say no. This needs to be said because Tom King really tries to prop himself up like the next Alan Moore when he's not.
He's not.
Not everyone likes deconstructions. Deconstruction stories, in of themselves, are period pieces. And I'll even say this: just have while City of Bane was going on, just have Batman and Catwoman on their honeymoon.
Because here's the problem with deconstructions: is you deconstruct them and then you reconstruct them, but you do it to the terms of modern taste. So, like, for example, when Frank Miller did his reconstruction of Daredevil back in the 80s...
I love that so much.
Well, yeah, it's a good story, but at the same time, he also did it to 80s sensibility. So, you know, by modern standards, it's hella dated.
And here's the problem. When you tear down a character, when you deconstruct them, you also have to reconstruct them. And really, what the Tom King Batman run turned into was deconstruction all the way down. And Tevia, I agree with you. I'm just saying for right now, this is the direction DC is going on. It doesn't mean they can't do it later. It's just right now they're not going to do that.
For the next year.
In all fairness,
yes,
nothing they do can match the travesty of what they just did to Mr. Freeze.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got a rant. I had to force a segue.
Yeah. So
okay.
Actually, one more thing I will say: Mark Waid and Dan Moore on Shazam. Yes. Now go, Nick.
Okay, I'm gonna censor myself as best as possible, but I make no promises.
Get your
This is freaking bull crap. Okay, like so the whole core of Mr. Freeze is he loves his wife Nora and he's doing everything he can to save her. And they basically turn him into a freaking incel. You know, like basically like, oh, I'm glad she's frozen because now she's the perfect wife. It's like,
I don't have to worry about her cheating on me or anything like that. I'm like, what?
It is like it's incel. They basically turn they're basically doing incel talking points, like the stereotypical incel talking points. Let's, you know, like what we think of as like the toxic incel, like that whole thing. They turn Mr. Freeze into him, and it's basically it's character assassination. It is literal character assassination.
He literally says this way. I know where my wife is at all times. She's not. What's the word? She's not spending my money. Oop, wrong clip. And I'm just like, oh gosh.
You want to know the sad thing? Harley Quinn, the animated series, actually did the same bit, but in better taste.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're directly trying to tie it back to the Joker being controlled. Okay, and this is just my interpretation of the Joker-Harley relationship. Joker just sees Harley as a henchwoman / side piece. He really doesn't care.
It's a toxic abusive relationship. You really don't have to put much thought into that. It's basically it's a toxic abusive relationship. That is literally all it is. You really don't have to put that much. Yeah, of course the Joker. Basically the Joker sometimes cares about Harley, but he cares about him in a way that an abusive husband will. Like he's possessive, or sometimes he'll show bits and pieces that he cares as a way to string them along. Or
and Dave the Impaler. They did do this in the new 52. They made it where Nora was not his actual wife, where Victor was a stalker that was just in love with her. And I'm like, you think you would have learned the first time? That's even worse. You think they would have learned it the first time, right?
Because the beauty of Mr. Freeze is the tragic romance where I really feel like the Arkham games handled this storyline beautifully, where it's like she just wanted to die, like she wanted to live living her life in that too. Frozen wasn't a life he wanted to spend, and Mr. Freeze accepted it. It was so beautiful. I'm sorry, I watched the cutscenes, I cried. Okay.
Yeah, that was a fantastic moment in the game. And and think about it this way. The origin for Mr. Freeze that was established in B-Task was so compelling that they literally changed the comic book origin of Mr. Freeze to be that one, because that was the one that people liked. And you screwed it. Wait. Who was the person that was writing this book should explain to you exactly.
It's so iconic.
Jerry Duggan, he's known for ruining iconic things.
It's so iconic that literally 4 years later, when they did Batman and Robin, they literally used the Batman the Animated Series backstory for Mr. Freeze. That's how impactful it was. That it changed the character that quickly. By the time he got the big screen adaptation, not even 5 years later, that was the version they used. They used a freaking children's cartoon. I caught myself.
No, it's all right. That's all right.
Sorry, you got to give me credit though. Like one slip
You're having a good self control. I appreciate it, Nick. Gold star.
But I will say this: it's not even in terms of that. It's just you have an established story where you can go. I just don't. I can see if you kept it purely the friend's perspective, where they just weren't letting her have the agency at the end, and just left it at that. I'd leave it at that. Like that's a different perspective, and all this and that. But
yeah, like the way that Arkham did it, where it's like he appreciates what Victor's doing, but it's not her choice to be frozen. She wants I mean, honestly, you could even go as far to say he froze her against her will. Like he wanted to spend her time with Victor, blah blah blah, but he chose to freeze her. Like even that, I like that that's as far as I would go. Basically, freezing her against her will. You know, like he wanted to live her life, but you know. But like that's as far as I would go. That's stretching it as much as you could.
And half the One Bad Day stories are just cold cash grabs. You can't.
They're not canon though. That's the relief.
Saving grace.
None of these are canon. You could say that they're just going back to what we talked about. There not being a definitive version. We could talk about it's just another version. It's a version that sucks. And because here's the thing: when you make another version, you kind of have to make sure it like falls along certain lines when you're like adapting a character. And this went the complete opposite. Before BETS, he was kind of a forgotten character. He was trapped in limbo. In the limbo world of Grant Morrison's Animal Man, BETS created the Mr. Freeze that fans love. Exactly.
Yeah.
Remember, Mr. Freeze was in the 66 Adam West show, but he was a freaking joke of a character.
Yeah. Half the characters in the 66 show were jokes, but fair point.
And here's Jerry. We have live footage from inside the DC office of Jerry Duggan pitching his story to DC.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah.
Wait.
Maker Man, baby.
My answer to that would be that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, that escalated quickly.
I will play devil's advocate because, again, a lot of the One Bad Day stories are deconstruction pieces. You have the Riddler, arguably the worst of the bunch.
I kind of enjoyed the Riddler a little bit. I have Penguin. I haven't read Penguin yet.
But
honestly, if I were to reinterpret Riddler for a modern audience, I basically make him a Reddit mod. I basically make him like the stereotypical,
Batman. Like the Batman did.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take it even farther, like literally have him mod his own subreddit, like be like a Reddit power mod. Like that, like if I was gonna, like, I'm sorry, but that is the Riddler in modern day. It's like a Reddit power mod.
Mm-hmm. So I kind of want to circle back to Dawn of DC, to this little piece of the marketing right up here, forging the future one hero at a time. They have this sort of timeline. So what do you guys think about the idea that it looks like they're trying to relaunch small bits at a time?
I mean,
just
that's
small
probably
bits
good.
to make it not overwhelming.
Don't want to bite off more than you can chew, honestly.
Yeah, as long as Teen Titans Academy stays buried, I'm content.
True. I think that what they're doing is that this way it maximizes who can buy the books, because it doesn't seem so overwhelming when you have a smaller number of books, because that was the problem. That was the problem with the launch of the New 52, is that they launched like 80 number ones. What they should have done.
Well, no, they launched 52 number ones, because that was the whole point of the number of the New 52. It's the New 52.
And actually, I have a version of I have like this collected edition that's like all the number ones from like a lot of the number ones from the New 52, and they have some behind the scenes footage. There's plenty of other books that were not published that were planned. But my point is, they're starting kind of slow here, so you don't have like 52 books you have to pick up, and this one it's like probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 for the Superman one, and
plus it's like they're doing different sections. So like, if you're not a Superman fan, you're not obligated to pick up the Superman books. So it's, you know, you're kind of waiting for the Batman books or like the Wonder Woman books. You know, it's like you're kind of waiting for your section of the DC universe to be redone. So
Isn't it
like,
interesting how Wonder Woman is not? I mean, it says among the new titles, so it's not necessarily like it's not going to be like Wonder Woman's not going to be included. But I don't see Wonder Woman on this.
well,
I mean,
she probably falls under like the Justice League umbrella because Wonder Woman doesn't really have like a family of titles like Superman or Batman. You know,
She has Wonder Girl and all that.
I
she
mean,
gets
yeah,
brought to the Titans.
yeah.
Well-
so it's like you get like Wonder Woman in she gets her own book and that's about it. Whereas Superman gets like 4 books to himself. Maybe
And Tevia has a good question. So, question: can all the future state and Bendis horrible changes go away with Dawn the DC after the Tom Taylor book just goes away? Well,
That's
first
what
off,
Dawn of DC actually is. It's a
That's what it
transition.
is.
Based on
just have Superboy Prime punch reality again.
yeah, exactly. But what this I think at least kind of confirms to me is that they're doing a sort of maybe a soft reboot or a hard reboot, and just saying okay. Or what this looks to me is that they're doing damage control and basically undoing a lot of the damage that they caused to their brand over the past, I would say 2 years ago. I would say. What do you guys think?
Definitely. They definitely tried to copy Marvel's business model with all new, all different, where they were trying to fan bait and stir controversy to get sales up.
And it's not working. Also,
No,
I think
look at
my
Sonic
wrist
Hello.
feels kind of heavy. My wrist
Yeah.
is feeling awfully heavy.
Yeah.
It just didn't, and that's the sad thing. Marvel planned theirs out over the course of like 4 or 5 years. Marvel now was technically a precursor to all new, all different. So that was planned out over the course of 5 years, and it nearly caused Marvel a second bankruptcy.
Yeah, both. What I love is that DC tried to copy All New All Different, but didn't understand that failed. There's a reason why they brought back Captain America and Iron Man and Thor immediately afterwards.
There's a reason why Captain Marvel gets a new #1 every 3 months.
And by the way,
Brie Larson, or because the character sucks.
both.
Well, just because the book sucks. It's like literally, like I'm kind of being a bit hyperbolic with it, but I'm not by too much because like Captain Marvel, they keep relaunching a #1, hoping because if you look at the sales, it's actually proven that like #1 issues you get like a huge spike.
Normally sell great.
That's why Marvel kept restarting their numbering. With like because like they wanted that huge spike in sales, but the problem is people caught on to it.
By the way, speaking of Carol Danvers, pick this up and read this. This is when she was a good character, right there. It's fantastic.
I mean, honestly, I read a little bit of like her 70s run where she was like a fashion designer. That was actually some pretty good stuff.
No, I mean pre-Captain Marvel, because in Captain Marvel she became a narcissistic idiot.
Twat.
Right, that
Yeah.
Christopher Yost design where it's like the black with like the yellow lightning bolt. It's like the one-piece swimsuit with like the stash. That is such a great costume.
Yeah, it is. So,
And I will go into a quick tangent about legacy heroes.
they don't
DC
sell. Actually, yes, let's do this. I wanted to talk about that. Go on.
Because Comic Storian recently uploaded a good picture on this topic. It's not that that legacy characters suck. They get so enamored, so ingrained in the current brand, in the current status quo, you can't really develop them. They're just a footnote. So the best way for legacy characters is to have them grow and branch out to their own, like Nightwing.
Well,
and so many.
Okay, here's like the one time where they did a legacy changeover and it actually worked. Barry Allen to Wally West. After Crisis on Infinite Earths, Barry Allen died and Wally took over.
Wait, Nick, here's why that worked. No. Wait. JJheat. Nick, here's why that worked. They killed Barry Allen. You didn't have.
It's all about who's worthy for the role.
Yeah.
Like literally, if DC wanted to, they could kill off Bruce Wayne and make Dick Grayson Batman, and they could probably make it work. Like I'm like,
yeah,
they could if they really wanted to, if they really wanted to, like because no one would have a problem with Dick Grayson becoming Batman. Honestly, if you had Tim become Batman, Damian even.
Damian Batman. We saw. We saw in A Vision of the Future that doesn't turn out so well.
But Dick Grayson, no one would have a problem. Like,
no one would have,
it's like when they did it back in the late 2000s. People,
but you would still
there was no controversy.
You would still have people that would be like, "Oh my gosh, Bruce Wayne is Batman," but it would be a significant minority. It wouldn't be the amount of people that are like, "Why is John Kent Superman when we have Clark Kent?"
And really,
and the thing is, sure, there'd be some grumblings at first, like Barry Allen is my Flash, but you got to realize Wally West was the Flash for
an entire generation.
I didn't know who Barry Allen
going
was.
on 30 years.
I know who Barry Allen was, but because remember, I started on the Justice League show, and Wally is the Flash in that one. And
Barry Allen didn't really come back until like mid 2000s at best.
Okay, Tavia.
Let it
The
go.
last time. They're not gonna. Let me put it this way: what they might do is have like a Elseworlds book for the 12-year-old John Kent, but the canon John Kent for right now is gonna stay as the teenage one. That's just the way it is.
See, the problem with these mantle swaps is they literally pull a character out of their butt, and they might get like one or two storylines, and all of a sudden they're the hero. You know, they have like it's like the Riri Williams. Like for example, if Rhodey became the new Iron Man, but if they made him the main Iron Man, that they could probably make that work because Rhodey's it's all about people perceiving them to be worthy of the mantle. Like Dick Grayson, is worthy of becoming Batman. And I feel like Rhodey is worthy of becoming. And I'd even argue Falcon, if they played it right, could have been worthy of becoming Captain America.
But they didn't because here's the thing. Honestly, of the two, I think Bucky was more worthy than Sam of being Captain America.
But you also got to realize Falcon has been working with Captain America since the 70s. He's literally Falcon has been around longer than Bucky. Like if you think about because Bucky only really came back in the mid 2000s as the Winter Soldier. Obviously, his character dates back to but Falcon has been working with Captain America for literally 2 generations.
No, I know that, but when you read the Ed Brubaker one, he actually made that role his own.
Bucky could have pulled it off. I will concede that.
I mean, if you want to have a compromise, we could say they're both worthy of the role.
They're both worthy. It's just a matter of degree. But actually, Dave the Imperialer brings up a good point. They gave Barry Allen the most heroic send-off, saving the multiverse. That's why everyone was okay with him passing the torch.
And honestly, I think Batman R.I.P. And then the Battle of the Cowl. I thought if they were going to make that change permanent, that storyline as a send-off to Bruce Wayne was great. Like if they would have chose to make that like Dick Grayson as Batman permanent, that would have been a great story to send them off on.
Dave the Impaler brings up Kyle Rayner. Remember, Kyle Rayner was not as accepted because they basically crapped on Hal Jordan and brought in Kyle Rayner because Kyle's a great character. One thing real quick, Jay. Here's why Green Lantern works. Because Green Lantern is the one time where you can have multiple Green Lanterns because it's an army. The problem with
Kyle Rayner is you have a lot of writers, a lot of bad writers that basically write Kyle as Hal Light.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest. Kyle is his own character, but a lot of poor quality writers who don't know what to do, they basically make him Hal Jordan, diet Hal, so to speak. Because and there's a lot of qualities that because Hal's also a fighter pilot and whatnot. He also looks a lot like Hal.
He was an artist. He wasn't a fighter pilot.
I thought I remember reading like a storyline where he was a fighter pilot or something.
It was part of an Elseworld story because he was an artist.
No,
that's why he had all these elaborate constructs.
I might be mistaken, but I thought I remember reading the sequence where it's Green Lantern had come back. Hal Jordan and him and Kyle went up in jets. They left the rings on the ground.
He took him on a ride in a fighter jet. That's for sure. I remember reading that issue. It's just Kyle was not a pilot.
So you remember you remember where I'm referencing where it's he had just come back and the general recognized him because of his knuckles. Mm-hmm. Nice to have a Green Lantern on the team.
Jeff
how
Johns,
did you recognize me?
Jeff Johns, baby.
Yeah. So exactly what I'm referencing.
Darwin Cook drew that issue, I think. But anyway,
Justice League New Frontier is so good.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And the animated movie is amazing.
Yeah, DC does not know what to do with John Kent because they know everyone likes Clark more. We're not.
To be fair, Screen Rant is trash, and so
couldn't have said it better myself. But I will play devil's advocate because, like Yara Floor, Jace was kind of like a present day version of Terry McGinnis. If you actually establish a scenario where Bruce would take more of a back seat in the Batman role, because most of the Bat family is already established by this point.
Mm-hmm.
So if you actually played a scenario where Bruce would take a back seat, similar to what they did at Future State Gotham, Jace could have worked because he was technically a present day Terry McGinnis.
But here's the problem with that: they want a black Batman, but they could have just used Batwing.
Yeah. But Batwing's kind of branching out and doing his own thing. I could see why they didn't want to use.
But it also comes back to the point that I originally raised: is people caring about the character. And it comes back to the whole point of you introduce this character for the sole reason of taking over the book, not have it organically be like, hey, here's this character that has existed for literally decades, that has been training under this character, the Dick Graysons, the Rhodys of the world. And that's it's exactly the problem. You ran into the exact problem with Jace Fox. They introduce this character for the sole purpose, and when you introduce a character for the sole reason of taking over another character, you don't allow the character to stand on their own feet. Dick Grayson has had plenty of time to exist as Nightwing. He's awesome. We love him.
He served as Batman, so it's not like it's unprecedented that he would take over the role as Batman.
Yeah, I know I keep coming back to Battle for the Cowl, but that was a great story where it's like,
I agree.
Dick Grayson was forced to become Batman. He didn't want to become Batman. Everyone was telling him to become Batman, but he was forced to. The choice was made for him.
Here's the thing. Going to what Tavius talked about with Superboy. You know which Superboy?
Connor. It should have been Connor.
You knew what I was about to ask, because guess what? What was Connor's purpose? They said it in Young Justice. What's his purpose? To replace him if he died, or to kill him if he ever was
turned against Earth or was mind controlled in some capacity.
So his purpose is to become Superman.
He was literally spliced to play that role.
See, the thing is, it's actually kind of meta if you think about it. They literally created a character, but they actually put that in his story. It's kind of a fourth wall breaking kind of story idea where they're playing it straight, but because they're doing it meta, almost fourth wall breaking, it actually kind of works. Plus Connor has had enough time to be his own character.
But with the narrative they wanted to go, especially when chasing headlines, they would have had to make Connor self-discover and come out as bi. And they did that. It would tie back to the Tim and Con shippers, and then you get into.
They're trying to do. Did you see what she tried to do? The writer for Tim, she tried to retcon it. So when Connor died, Tim was like, "I didn't understand my feelings back then," and I'm like, "You're just."
That is why they make these characters bi. That is why they make these characters bi, because it's a get out of jail free card.
Because they know that if it's not popular, they'll just have him go back to being with Stephanie, which he should be with Stephanie. Let me put it this way: the beginning of Detective Comics Rebirth, written by James Tynion, where they introduced the Belfry team, that basically sold me on Tim and Stephanie.
They've been established for years.
By the way,
I mean, it literally goes back to like late 90s, early 2000s, because because Stephanie's been around, for 20 years now.
And by the way, Nick, I wanted to tell you, I thought of you because I was reading Batman Eternal. It's the new 52 origin for Stephanie Brown.
And I heard,
really cool.
I heard this fan theory a lot.
I guarantee you, Dan Dito fought tooth and nail to have that issue not come out.
It still came out. It's in the collection, so there you go.
Because Dan Dino has a hate boner for Stephanie Brown. He
has a hate boner for anyone that makes Batman look old, which is stupid.
Dan Dito was more of a businessman. He was more business. Legacy. It's a fine line with legacy, because at a certain point, in order to realistically keep the status quo, you have to keep them within a certain age bracket. Otherwise, then you have to use.
But then you run into the problem that Spider-Man does now, where they keep them in this high school, college era, when literally all the Spider-Man fans are saying, "We want Spider-Man to get to marry Mary Jane."
One more day. That's what needs to be said on that.
That's a good point, because they have a way to have their cake and eat it too. Just make Miles the high school Spider-Man.
And it's you could have because I think a lot of times when Peter and Mary Jane do have a kid, it's usually a daughter, and a lot of times he becomes Spider-Girl, Spider-Woman. You want your female Spider character, bam, do that.
But
it annoys me.
Peter's their bread and butter, especially if you factor the relatability factor. So if you actually allow Peter to grow up, it would kind of be an end of an era. So.
I think the video game did it perfectly. The PS4 video game.
Yeah.
Where you have these coexisting, where Peter's kind of the mentor. He's still Spider-Man, but Miles is doing his thing. Like he's kind of far enough to remove where he can be his own Spider-Man.
And here's the thing,
like,
though.
Peter Parker is literally just a 15-minute swing away if need be. And then that allows Peter to grow older and do his own thing. But Miles is there for, like, I think Miles is a perfect character for, like, you want your high school hijinks. Miles is perfect for that. Because like we've done high school Peter Parker so many times. It's old. It's getting old.
And here's the thing.
I'm tired of them going.
Literally.
Can I
yeah, go ahead.
I was kind of in the middle of like a kind of a thing.
Go ahead.
Sorry. But like we've seen the same story beats play out so many times the past 50 years, and honestly, they're boring. Like honestly, I remember like when the MTV show came out in the early 2000s, I didn't watch it because they were just playing out the same story beats. And like, I want to see Miles because like Miles, you know, because of his race and because of his different cultural background, you get a different type of story. You get a different type of character. And honestly, I want to read it.
Plus, here's why Marvel needs to make him the high school Spider-Man. It separates him from Peter. Because right now, he's also called Spider-Man, and he has no unique rogues. He's basically a redundant character at this point. If you let Peter age up...
Nightwing him. Do what they did with Nightwing back in the 90s. Where... you know, like you don't even need like because they had Spider-Man was like Manhattan, Queens, and then Miles was Brooklyn, Harlem.
There you go. What they could, but what they need, but the thing is that here's the thing. When Miles first became Spider-Man, it worked. Why? Because he wasn't competing with Peter Parker. Because Peter Parker was in the ground. So,
it's also to note they did this in the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah,
where,
that's what I'm saying.
Or they could kill off Peter Parker and it would be fine because it's the Ultimate Universe.
Then they brought him into the main 616, which could work, but they haven't done anything to make him other than a redundant character. It seems like this is the occasion where they brought him over just so they can have a black Spider-Man, and that's it.
And other media has shown that Miles can be an interesting character. I mean, not just Into the Spider-Verse, but look at the spinoff. You know, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Like if you like, I watched the cutscenes from that story, and they gave him kind of like a revamped version of the Tinkerer, which was really cool. You know, he kind of fought Roxxon Corporation. Like honestly, I thought they did that really well. And I you know, like the whole Prowler thing. I think. Like the whole his uncle who is his mentor is like a villain, and like I just think it's really cool storytelling where his uncle is kind of his uncle, where Prowler is kind of his Uncle Ben in some stories. I think Prowler, like that dynamic is kind of like a pseudo Catwoman kind of thing without the romance. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like the villain who's also you care about them.
Yeah,
I don't think I presented that well enough, but
it's fine.
We get what you're saying, but I do want to say this quick fan theory I heard going around.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, this fan theory going around where off panel, Tim, when Damian went rogue after Teen Titans Annual #2, Tim jumped to the chance to go become Robin again because he was still bitter over what happened. Steph called him out in his crap on a private conversation. It led to an argument and an ultimatum, and then it just led to a breakup between the two. And he's just using Bernard as a rebound. That's what I heard. That's what I heard on social media. I have no direct source to confirm.
If they're trying to do a gay representation, that's a really I'm going to curse here. Move. It's a really shitty way of doing it. I'm sorry for the cursing, but like, it felt.
And Dave the Impaler brings up: do you believe Miles Morales should have his own superhero identity?
I thought they called him Shadow Spider. I thought they named him Shadow.
They're trying that.
They're trying. They keep trying to make names, but they give him really stupid names for.
I mean, honestly, Shadow Spider does kind of work for him because he can go invisible.
But here's the thing, though. It's a little close to Spider-Gwen, who's called Ghost Spider.
Which I think Ghost Spider, as her name, works really well.
Oh, it works great. Yeah, I'm not disputing that. Yeah. But my point is that they have to figure out they shouldn't have two Spider-Men. It's the same reason why I hate how DC made Jackson Hyde Aquaman and decided he's going to share the role with Arthur. I'm like, no.
Okay.
That's the dumbest thing in the world.
JJheat,
what's up?
And that's what annoys me, because you already established that Aquaman actually wanted to be there for his daughter and stay in Atlantis with royalty to be there for his young daughter who becomes Aquawoman in Future State. So you already have an out. Just have Arthur be Aquaman of the seven kingdoms of the sea, and then have Calder be the Aquaman of the surface world. You could have just balanced it that way. Young Justice did something similar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if Shadow Spider doesn't work, what would be a good spider name for Miles?
That's a good question. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
It's taken. But yeah, I like it.
Spider Shocker.
No, nothing shocker. I mean, incorporating
Lightning
is like
Spider. I don't know.
Is Chameleon taken?
Yes, it is. That's a Spider-Man villain.
Shadow Crawler.
Yeah, that works.
Too close to Nightcrawler, but could work.
Because I wanted to like do some sort of like spidery thing. Because like
Mm-hmm.
the thing of here's kind of the three pillars of like of Miles Morales is the spider portion, the electricity, and the going invisible. That's kind of like the name pillars. You know
And
what
to
I'm saying?
answer your question, Tevia, no, I would not have Peter Parker retire because guess what? People still like Peter Parker as Spider-Man. You can't do that.
No, outright
lose
retiring
that.
Peter would be a big mistake.
You can't.
At the very most, semi-retire. Like basically, like he suits up when he needs to, but like Miles handles the problem. But like if it becomes too much, Peter suits up because like Peter wants to focus on his life with Mary Jane.
And Tevia,
Like, I can see a story where it's like Peter wants to focus on his career as a photographer, his marriage to Mary Jane, where it's like he's not outright quitting being Spider-Man, but he's taken a step back.
and by the way, Tevia,
And Miles kind of picks up the slack. I could actually see that working.
And Tevia, the reason why you can't keep Spider-Gwen is because you don't have. If you're a superhero that's supposed to have some amount of anonymity, yeah, I don't put Spider Jared as my superhero name. It doesn't work.
Gwenpool works because fourth wall.
It's just fourth wall breaking. That's what it is. Spider-Gwen is different.
Yeah,
That's what
and
it
honestly, I think Ghost Spider works really good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, calling a Nazi, that's kind of like
that idea.
Well, for one, it's racist because
wait.
African spider, but also it's like a Nazi.
What
it's
they
too
could do,
easily, you know.
Maybe they can do like the word for spider in Spanish because it isn't he Hispanic
Yeah, he's half
too?
Hispanic.
He's half Puerto Rican, African American, whatever.
Well,
But
Hispanic,
Hispanic, whatever.
Yeah, just have the word for spider in his cultural background. That'd be really cool. I would like that. Spider sting works.
Piranha. I
Piranha,
just looked it up.
That'd be interesting. Or spider
I don't
sting.
know.
The stinger.
No.
But all right.
That's making him sound like he's a B superhero.
But so going back to our previous topic, I think in terms of the web stinger, that's actually really good. In terms of DCU, I think now I could be wrong.
Shadow Web.
That could work. Now, okay, we're moving on from that, but I think that based upon what I'm seeing, DC is taking some good steps to maybe repairing a lot of the damage that's been done to the universe. So let's hope and see at this point, right? Let's hope and see. And then, so let's move on to our second topic today is, okay, Zaslav wants only one Batman. Now,
rest in peace, Patterson.
Not necessarily, because it could be he only wants one Batman in like the universe, in like the shared universe. In that case,
I don't know. That sounds like it's just a word play. That sounds like an out. Like it sounds like you're just kind of like it sounds like, you know, he wants one Batman, but it's actually two because he said he wanted multiple universe. It sounds like Zaslav has always been very blunt with what he says. I don't really think like when Zaslav says he wants one Batman, I think he wants one Batman. I don't think he's trying to he's not Chapek, he's not Iger, he doesn't do the word play. When he says he wants one Batman, he wants one Batman.
And Tevia, you're going to have two Flashes. So what I was saying, JJheat?
And I want to concur with that. It would lead to a previous discussion where essentially Patterson would be HBO Max exclusive if you really want to finish that contract and make that work. But Zaslav wants as much synergy as corporately possible.
And see, the problem is, if Patterson it does become the Batman, then you have to fold his universe in with the main.
Yeah,
one.
It gets much more complicated. And remember, he wants.
We have a 20-year span.
No, but Here's the problem. Here's the thing. Also, combine this with James Gunn's recent statement that he wants the TV shows, the movies, and the animation, everything to tell one concurrent story. So really, you can't do the HBO Max exclusive
Yeah,
thing
because
to sell side stories.
Look at what Disney does. You have your
Mhm.
movies, and the Disney Plus shows literally like the story of WandaVision was literally picked up in Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Nick, I'm glad you brought that up. What DC has to do, though, is that if they want all to tell one story, they can't have the movies coming out at the same time as the shows because that gets too much to keep track of. What I think they should do is...
I mean, look what happened with Peacemaker. Peacemaker literally... They literally have the prototype right there where it's like you did the Suicide Squad, then you did Peacemaker, which ties into that movie and by extension the larger DC universe. It's the blueprint's already there.
They could do that, but Nick, what I think they should do is release 2 shows in 1 year and then the movie in the next year. No, it's movies every other year and shows every other year. Just that way, they have to keep track of.
You kind of run into the problem that Marvel is running into now, where not everyone is going to be watching these shows. And it's like when you go and watch Doctor Strange, and they keep referencing the Westview incident. It's like, why is Wanda a villain now? Because not everyone wants to watch WandaVision.
Yeah, but the difference is, Nick, is because that's what I'm saying. They do every other year a movie and do like 2 shows per year because what that does. It's not as overwhelming as the way Marvel is. Because the way Marvel is, you have to watch, show, movie, all in 1 year, and it gets really hard
side stories that are not essential to the plot. You know, like they do Peacemaker, where Peacemaker doesn't really tie into like the overall arcing thing. Like the shows are for your side characters to where like they got some screen time, and people like them and they want to see more of them. You give them a show and. At the end, maybe you'll have Batman show up or something, or like you'll have, but the stories don't, like, for example, let's say you give an Atom Smasher HBO Max series, where at the end Black Adam appears, like the Rock appears for like 5 seconds or something, but the storyline of the Atom Smasher TV show does not largely impact, like they might reference it, but it's like you don't need to watch it for the TV shows, for the movies. That's the problem that Marvel's running into.
Yeah, and the reason I say Patterson, that could work because essentially Batfleck is essentially the Dark Knight Returns. You can actually use Batfleck. You can actually use Bat Patterson as like as a flashback, and all you really need to distinguish.
Not really, I don't think so, because there's a lot that contradicts Affleck and
Patterson's Batman's hopeful. Batfleck is bleak prior to his character arc in BVS and Zack Snyder's Justice League.
It's been implied that Batman has been doing this for 20 years. Okay. And that would roughly put it at the time where Patterson has only really been doing it for like maybe 2 or 3 years. And they're both set in modern times. So you do have Batman's family probably died in the 80s or maybe the 90s. Well, probably the late 70s, early 80s, roughly put it that time frame. Whereas Patterson's family literally died in 2002 after seeing Shrek. That's my headcanon anyway.
Of course it is.
The last thing Thomas Wayne saw was a green ogre before he died.
Oh, Moses, smell the roses.
Okay, here's a compromise. We do like a little multiverse. I'm not saying crisis, but definitely multiverse story. But a multiverse story where Batfleck and Patterson interact. I'm like, you remind me of a time long forgotten.
I mean, sure, but like that's not putting Patterson into the main universe.
I'm gonna just one thing, Tevya. Young Justice is not coming back. I'd be very surprised if they bring that show back because the viewership when they brought it back progressively got worse and worse and worse. So the investment is not there. In terms of the animated movies, I think what they're just doing is they're releasing what they already have done, what they already have released, and they're like, okay, you know what? We'll end it here and be done with it. That's why
I think we'll still get like those direct-to-video movies because those actually do make like a decent amount of money. Plus, I imagine they're not too expensive to make.
Maybe, but Young Justice is dead.
Tomorrowverse is using a cheaper animation style than what the DeCamera was using.
I don't think, but by the way, the Tomorrowverse movies look horrible. I don't get why people are always smacking on them.
Like Archer.
Plus, like I feel like these movies have to be doing at least decent numbers. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been making them for like the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm. But so what I what. But yeah, what I think honestly is going to happen is that I don't think Pattinson is getting another movie. I don't think that because first off, they said it's not going to show up for like 5 more years, and then I do think what may come out is the Penguin just once, so they can say that we're done. Oh, and they could probably just do this, wrap up the story, or wrap up everything in like a direct TV movie. They could do that,
like Teen Titans: Trouble in Tokyo, basically.
Yeah. They could do that.
It would be a multi-parter, but
oh my gosh, Nick! I mean, Tavia, Harley Quinn had better viewership numbers than Young Justice. We say this every single week.
And stronger momentum for being a recent show.
And because here's the thing, Tavia, that show is targeted toward a broader audience than Young Justice.
Young Justice has a cult fandom at best, whereas Harley Quinn literally has mainstream success.
Those like really mature humor shows do fantastically with the general audience. Look at basically it's the DC version of Rick and Morty.
I would say.
So I will say a movie to wrap up Young Justice that could probably work.
That they could do. But they're not going to bring it back as a series. I know Tevye wants it to come back because they have Damien and John as kids in the show.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, so it's all good.
That's the thing, but it's fine, dude. But I'm like, dude, it's that. Let me put it this way. John Kent being de-aged in the comics is more likely than that show coming back. I got news for you. Because there's more of an audience for John Kent as a kid.
No, I got it. Teen Titans 03 revival is more likely than Young Justice coming back.
Oh, yes. Like, I'm surprised we haven't gotten that already. I think probably because Teen Titans Go is still on the air.
That, and basically, even though they never got an official season 6, Starfire's, because every character in 03 had a character focus or an arc over the course of that season. Season 1 was Dick Grayson's renegade persona in the 90s. Season 2 was Judas Contract. Season 3 was Technus Imperative. Season 4 was Beast Boy, the Legion of Doom, not the Legion of Doom, the Brotherhood of Evil. Thank you, Brotherhood of Evil, and the Doom Patrol. Season 4 was Trigon the Terrible. Season 5 was the Brotherhood of Evil. Excuse me. And the only thing you would really need for Starfire is her getting together with Dick Grayson, Robin, unless you brought Blackfire back. So
I mean, to be fair, in Trouble in Tokyo, I think they did actually finally have that ship sail. The closest we've gotten is there was like a Teen Titans like crossover with Teen Titans Go. They did an actual movie, which that movie was actually kind of good. And I gotta say, Teen Titans Go the movies is a really funny movie.
I have to watch it. You know what? I'm very tempted to make it a movie night movie that we watch. I'm very tempted. And by the way, Tevye, again, they could wrap that up as a movie. What's up, Nick?
There's a Stan Lee cameo in the movie.
Yeah,
one of his lives for you. May he rest in peace.
I think we're probably gonna Excelsior. We're probably gonna.
And Stan Lee actually Stargirl is really the one that really I'm crying over because I love that show.
Yeah, but honestly, you had to. As soon as they sold off the CW, you had to know all those shows were dead.
No one was gonna pick that up. No one was gonna.
Yeah,
their best bet was making Netflix.
I still think they could have like carved out like an Earth 2 kind of universe, kind of Justice Society, have that be kind of like the television universe, and that might have worked. But that's just my take.
But what they could do if they decide to bring it back, and that's a big if, but if they decide to bring it back in this universe, they could bring back most of the actors because the JSA that we used in Black Adam aren't in that show.
They're a legacy roster.
So what they could technically do is bring it back and say this was another squad, or like the JSA started expanding their ranks after the incident with Black Adam, and then you have Stargirl.
The only thing is Flash, because the Flash was part of the JSA,
and actually in the first season you see the deaths of Hawkman. Well, Hawkman's fine, but Dr. Fate and like a lot of the JSA members in that show actually died. So.
Yeah, I still think Earth 2 is probably the best way to kind of put them on there.
But once again, they're probably not going to go with a multiverse-like thing. So.
I agree with you, but that's
They could make it work. Let me put it this way. It's possible. I just don't...
if they wanted to.
Well, let me put it this way. If I were in Zaslav's position, I wouldn't. Because here's what you have to do. Right now, he has to essentially... restart the DC EU, not restart, but you know what I'm trying to say. He has to get the main universe working first, and then maybe he can expand.
I agree.
That's ultimately, it's sad, but all the actions he's doing, stuff I would do. There's no way around it.
Mm-hmm.
But and honestly, by the way, it's been indicated that Zaslav likes Ben Affleck Batman the best. So, I mean, I'm happy he has good taste in Batman. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Pattinson. By the way, I got this.
What do you
got
think
the
that
script book for the Batman, which is essentially the movie script.
So what do you think that big announcement from Jason Momoa is? Like the thing that he posted, like he's really excited for?
Could be Lobo.
But
I still don't like it. Just I don't know. To me, it doesn't make sense. I mean, you guys may have your opinion, but you know,
if you really want to avoid double casting, what was that actor? I put him in the Comics League host group chat. But Todd Chadwick, he would be a good backup if you want to avoid double casting.
Now, it could also be he's getting to work with Zack Snyder again, or like they said,
he's still under contract with Netflix.
No, but that's true.
That's not going to. I mean, there's something stopping. I mean, he did actually attend Zack Snyder's birthday and give him like a really expensive camera. Like, did you actually see that clip where gave him like the Leica camera is literally like a $10,000 to $20,000 camera. Just gave him for his birthday.
Tevia.
I mean, they're making so much money, it's whatever.
Tevia, I'm going to tell you this. It's the last thing I'm going to say about this. Any show aired on the CW is dead. I'm sorry.
Flash,
that's the way it's going to be.
Dead.
The CW is dead.
Superman and Lois, dead. All those shows are dead. All those shows were dead.
After Crisis, the Arrowverse collapsed almost immediately. This was even before CW got bought off. The only ones that were still holding a leg were Flash, and that's kind of like limping with one.
At least what this means, since the CW is pretty obviously doesn't want to do any DC stuff anymore, it looks like that Gotham Knights show is dead. Yay!
Please.
Well, I still can't believe that got through some type of quality control.
No. Those were the Batwoman writers, and they just specifically designed that show out of spite.
Yeah, because you think Supergirl was pretty much the Supergirl character, but in other words,
no, the characterization was solid. It's just when you get into the latter seasons with all the preaching, but that's another conversation.
We'll talk about that. But I think that's a good place to leave this one. It looks like Affleck is here, and we're gonna have him, Cavill, and everyone. It could be honestly that he's getting to work. Honestly, one more thing about the Momoa thing, it could be he's getting to work with a writer, and maybe he's doing a team-up movie with Superman, maybe something he's always wanted to do. I don't know.
Or honestly, if Zack Snyder is doing something, I wouldn't be surprised if talks are happening now, because just because he's exclusive doesn't mean he can't talk to people.
Mm-hmm. They're probably like, okay, so when you're available, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Well, what direction you want to bring the DC?
Like, even if he can't sign any deals, he can at least kind of have like a handshake agreement. That's so.
Now we're going to have a two-part topic, really. So I think it's no secret that we're all Zack Snyder fans and the fans of his DC movies. Now we're going to talk about is what he does well with his movies and what he doesn't do so well. So we're going to do both. We're going to be very fair. And honestly, I think we should get the weaknesses over in the first part. So I'm going to start. I have one weakness. Okay. So this gets into how the ultimate editions are always the better versions of his movies. And universally, everyone wants that. Everyone agrees with that. The thing is, he has trouble telling epic storylines that are coherent in under 2 hours.
Kill your darlings, basically.
Essentially, which, dude, I love. Heck, I've seen Zack Snyder's Justice League 11 times. I'm going to watch it for the 12th time party this weekend. And by the way, I'm not stopping at 12. I'm going to keep watching it. But my point is, I like it. Hardcore DC fans love it. But the general audience is not going to go for that. And plus, when you know you have to cut down the movie for a certain time thing, you have to honestly kill your darlings in order to tell a coherent storyline that is like easily communicable in a 2 to 2.5 hour, maybe in a post Avatar, post like the Batman World 3-hour timeline.
Still, 3-hour movies are still a tough sell in today's society.
But when you have like I think 2:45 you could probably get away with in terms of that. I think that's pushing it.
With that.
Yeah, I think you're kind of pushing it, but I think 2:45 is like the
as like a big event movie, sure, but not like every movie being too, like if it's like, Infinity War, Endgame, Zack Snyder's Justice League, you get away with that easily.
And by the way, Spider-Man makes a good point. It'll be the greatest travesty in film if they don't finish the story arc. Even if it's just one Justice League movie to basically say, okay, so they don't even have to do the Nightmare. Just say Darkseid invades, the world unites, and there you go. Because think about it this way, Snyder has way more characters to play with. He could have Black Adam and Superman punch the crap out of Darkseid. How badass!
Black Adam, Superman, and Shazam.
Heck yes, that would be so. What I want, my dream, is when they do a Justice League movie and it's the League facing off against Darkseid. They replace the Flash with Wally West. They have Hawkgirl on the team. They have everyone's lining up, and then all of a sudden you hear the DCAU JLU theme, or at least a Junkie XL version of it. A Junkie XL version of it.
Hawkgirl played by Zoe Saldana.
She could pull it off.
I could see that actually. That's actually a good one. I could see that. All right. No, not necessarily. I disagree with that point.
Common misconception. Justice League and Justice League were both doomed by executive oversight, like direct executive interference and trying to copy and catch up to Marvel. If they had actually taken the time to build this up, and this goes into my weakness as well, directly having Batman the antagonist and go the Dark Knight route was a mistake. Now, the story arc is worthwhile, but the way it was executed was flawed.
Yeah,
we should have had a Batman movie.
Or had a Man of Steel a Man of Steel 2 immediately after Man of Steel 1. At least there.
Like, there should have been a Batman movie introducing the Batfleck character. It should have been a build-up, because literally, BVS is it is the Infinity War to Justice League's Endgame, kind of, if you think about it.
Yeah, essentially, you could have that Batman. You don't have to do a Batman origin. Just have at least the Jason Todd death. Yes, I said Jason Todd. The Jason Todd death, because that honestly informs the Batman BVS.
No Red Hood, just the death in the family
just
story.
The death. Just the death part. I'm not talking about Red Hood, Nick. I'm talking about...
No. I'm just looking at Dave the Impaler's comment and like, okay, yeah, I can definitely see that.
But I could see that. But my point is, just have the Robin death, because with the Robin death it directly informs and leads to the Batman and BVS. What's up, Nick?
He is perfect for spoiler.
Yes, I agree with you on that one.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, she's got the attitude. She has got the attitude. You basically dye your hair blonde. He is perfect for spoiler.
Anyway.
That's my pick.
But yeah, so in other words, just have the Robin death, because that leads to the brutal Batman. If you had the Robin death in a Batman movie preceding this, and then had the brutal Batman, I don't think you would have had as aggressive a reaction to it.
Oh, farthest thing from, because it directly indicates Dark Knight Returns, and everyone knows where you're going with, and we've actually seen it from a story perspective.
Dude, okay.
I got a hard disagree, because Man of Steel holds up very, very well.
No, he means the ones not done by Zack, and I disagree with that, dude, because
Shazam is really good. Aquaman, I love that film.
So many small details that set everything up in the trilogy so far. All of the DC so far is an inferior product. It doesn't kill the art, dude. It doesn't.
I will concede that Aquaman 2018 was just a retread of the front of the Decamu front of Atlantis. It was structured essentially the same.
Except the Justice League don't show up.
But other than that,
it's actually pretty much Jeff Johns' Aquaman run, pretty much. When you think,
is that a bad thing? Because at least it told a good story, and visually it was amazing.
No, but my point is that I'm against this whole this whole idea in the fandom that anything not done by Snyder is trash. I'm
Shazam
100%
is a good
against
movie.
that. Shazam is
Shazam-
fantastic. By the way, we are going to cover that on movie night because I love that movie.
Fury.
So much.
I am also Fury of the Gods. I'm so excited for.
We're gonna cover. Actually, we'll do Shazam the weekend before Fury of the Gods. How's that?
Yeah.
That is perfect for SEL.
Okay,
That is perfect.
The non-Snyder movies that are trash though are Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 84. I will agree with you on that.
Oh yeah.
God
That's
awful.
not even up for debate.
God awful.
Mhm. Wonder Woman does not reek of corporate oversight. Shazam does not reek of corporate oversight. It
84 reeks of corporate
yes,
oversight.
84 does, but it just not every movie needs to have it needs to essentially have Zack's like tone and everything. Like you
There
don't
is
want.
such
I'm sorry. Go ahead, JJheat.
there is such thing as nuance, but again, again, 84 was going to be a stinker regardless. Because
I think Shazam nailed. Oh, sorry, you're talking.
I agree, but let me just wrap this up.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I talked over
The
you.
original script for 84 was going to be buried in Trump allegories, given the climate of everything that was going on at the time.
Yeah.
They had to restructure it with COVID and everything else that happened, and the finished product wasn't that much different. You ruined Maxwell Lord.
One of the best. It's like, let me put it this way: in the trailer, before I knew what the plot was, in the trailer when they showed her golden armor, because she only pulls out the golden armor if it's a end of the world movie, and I'm like, Maxwell Lord is the villain. You pull out the golden armor for.
Would have done her some good in Apocalypse.
How
I'm just
bad
saying.
you have to be where Supergirl has a better Maxwell Lord, and I'm sorry that their version of Maxwell Lord is basically Lex Luthor light. He's basically, basically we need a Lex Luthor, but we can't use him, so we're just gonna have Maxwell Lord pretend he's Lex Luthor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But even that version is better than what we got.
And by the way, the Suicide Squad was not corporate oversight because you know what they did? They gave James Gunn full creative freedom. He could kill whoever he wanted. Hence why Boomerang died.
By the way, how'd the Ayer cut turn out? Did they do executive screenings 2 weeks ago?
I don't know how it turned out. I'm not sure about that one.
From what I understand, James Gunn pretty much shot it down in a tweet.
For right now, all he said was right now we're focused on building the universe. It doesn't mean he can't go back to it later.
Yeah, but when it comes to Shazam, I feel like Shazam was really good. It knew exactly what it wanted to be. It was lighter tone, obviously, but it had really good themes of like family, found family. It had a lot of that. It had a really strong emotional core. You cared about all the characters. Like, sure, it wasn't dark like the Snyder Cut, but the thing is, it actually had a love for the Snyder films. Like, if you actually watch the films, there is a strong love for those films. They're not making fun of them. They're not crapping on them.
A strong disagree with Dave the Impaler. It's not the best one. It's a good one. I still think either Aquaman or Shazam are the best non-Snyder. Actually, no. Wonder Woman 1 is the best non-Snyder DC movie.
I thought you counted it as a Snyder film.
Yeah, Wonder Woman is kind of like Snyder light because Snyder was actually involved in the production.
If I can't count that, Shazam.
Okay.
Follow,
and then
it's like neck and neck with Aquaman, honestly.
But I think we can all agree Black Adam needs to be the villain for Shazam 3.
Oh, hell yes. And by the way, Black Adam was actually really decent. It's one of my favorite non-Snyder DC movies.
It's
not
perfect,
perfect,
but other than that,
it's not perfect. It's a good, dumb, fun movie. Like Shazam made me feel stuff. Like, it actually had that strong kind of like, for me, a mark of quality of movies is what it makes me feel.
Yeah,
and Shazam makes me feel stuff. Black Adam was like, oh, it's fun, whatever. I mean, it's solid, but it's just forgettable kind of.
And by the way, Spider-Man, we're going to talk about that in a second when we get to Snyder's strengths, because trust me, there's way more strengths to his filmmaking than weaknesses. Way more.
I didn't get to say my weaknesses.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nick. No. I was just telling Spider-Man we are going to get to his strengths.
No, I was trying to be respectful of you guys.
Yeah,
so
I appreciate that. In fact, you're next. Go ahead.
So, in my opinion, Zack Snyder, he kind of lacks in the storytelling department. Like, he's really good at the macro level, like the broad strokes of storytelling. But when it comes to like the micro level, he really falters. The perfect example is look at Sucker Punch. That is Zack Snyder, like in his most purest, undistilled form. And while the movie's good, visually it's amazing, and from a macro level, the story is actually pretty good. But the problem is, at a micro level, the story doesn't really, it falls apart on a micro level, like the
Mhm.
kind of like the dialogue, the little plot details, but the broad
finer
strokes of the movie
details.
are really good.
Mhm.
But like the broad, he can really do broad strokes. Like for example, BVS is supposed to be how would the world react to Superman? Like he's really good at like the big ideas, but when it comes to like character interactions, characterizations, he's not the best.
He needs
he's
someone
kind
on
of
the micro level to balance him out.
Let me put this
yeah.
way.
That's I was kind
I'm
of
sorry. Go ahead.
like when you that's why when you get Zack Snyder, when he teams up with like good filmmakers, like with Man of Steel, you had Christopher Nolan was in the kitchen, and that really helped. And then David S. Goyer, David S. Goyer is one of those people where it's like when you team him up with a good director that can rein him in, he produces his best work. But if you don't rein him in, he produces the worst. Remember, David S. Goyer, while he wrote the Nolan films, he also wrote and directed Blade Trinity.
True.
And
Now,
I'll go ahead and say this right quick.
go ahead.
David Goyer recently did a social media post where he admitted that editorial made him write in the screenplay that Superman kills Zod at the end.
Really, I didn't know that. So forced on them. So again, that's another occasion when here's the thing. When people blame Zack for doing all these things, story-wise, macro story-wise, in his movies, when it was all forced on him. And by the way, Spider-Man disagrees with you. He says Doomsday was set up in the first 10 minutes of the trilogy. It continues to be set up throughout the two movies via the scout ship.
Where was Doomsday set up in Man of Steel?
In the prologue scene during Krypton's destruction, it was like a very blink thing. Blink and you'll miss it.
Because
again, those are kind of like the macro details.
Here's the
Like
problem.
the broad strokes.
Zack has to come out. That's another thing. That's another weakness. Zack has too many things that he has to come out and tell you. He has to come out and explain to you. If the creative has to come out and explain, like, that broken moon, that was broken by Doomsday. You kind of, if Snyder had not come out and explained it, we would not have known what happened.
Yeah, it's kind of like the problem with Star Wars, where it's like they need like all these novels to explain all the details. Like they need a Captain Phasma novel to explain why he is.
And by the way,
you know?
Dave the Impaler, I think his Steppenwolf looked pretty dope. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah,
I will say
visual.
that.
Like when we go to his strengths, visuals is going to be.
No. Hold on. Pull that comment back up. Dave the Impaler, I respect you, but compare Justice League Steppenwolf to Snyder Cut.
Yeah. It's not even
That's all I
By the
need
way,
to
wait. JJheat. It's not only that. DC literally changed the design of Steppenwolf in the comics to reflect the Snyder Steppenwolf.
If I will play devil's advocate for Justice League, you could make the argument that they didn't have as much time as Zack did, so the design would suffer. But like that's literally the most charitable thing you can say.
His dark side was badass with the glowing red eyes. Actually, you know what?
His dark side is like spot on for the comics. Like literally it's ripped out of the comics.
Every bit.
JJheat, your weakness before we move on.
My weakness?
I think you already said it.
What did you already give your Snyder weakness?
I'll go ahead and say them again. Basically,
Go ahead.
If I can't count killing your darlings, because we've already established that with the two of you, it was definitely in relation to his vision and trying to tie everything back. He definitely needed someone to balance him out, at least on the micro, finer details.
Mm-hmm.
So now is the fun talk. What does he do well? Now, I'm going to go first because I think I have two things.
Saved an entire franchise.
Number one, obviously the visuals. Like, you can't deny, and Nick and I have said it, even Snyder's detractors said his movies look pretty. Now, the second thing, he gets the epic grand scale that is DC. That's why I don't mind about it's like if you watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, he treats them like they're gods fighting against an ultimate evil. And I'm like, okay, that is freaking dope. He treats Superman like he's this god amongst men when he shows up and destroys this Steppenwolf. And you know what? I'm going to play the clip again because it's just so good.
Not impressed.
I mean, come on. Oh, and wait, that Batman warehouse scene in BVS where he just he's going up against everyone with guns, and Batman's like, by the way, he gets stabbed in the shoulder with a knife, and what does he do? He gets immediately right back up and throws the dude into a wall. I'm like,
Well, honestly, that scene, you could tell Zack Snyder had been playing the Arkham games a lot.
Yes, exactly. I was about to say, it's pretty much, if you want to show someone what a live action Arkham movie would look like, just watch that scene from BBS. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
that
it.
scene is pretty much Arkham.
Pretty sure he cracked a guy's skull on the side of a wall, but
Okay, that's true. He does set it up, but it's not clear enough that the general audience is able to like follow along.
pick up on that.
See, if you look at the Twitter discourse surrounding the antis, a lot of it is Zack Snyder hides a lot of his details where you gotta like really dig in because like he hides so many key details. Like for example, someone said like, "Oh, why is he wearing a jacket? He's Superman." Well, the answer is he's trying to blend in, and you notice when he went into the ship, he wasn't wearing it. That's kind of something that makes you think a little bit, and I appreciate these movies make you think, but I kind of feel like he does it a little bit too much so that like general audiences,
Won't be
they don't want to dig in too much.
Now, I will say though, the one detail thing that I disagree with the antis is when they say, "How come we didn't explain what the black suit did?" Because you don't have to. It's just another suit. Who cares? The general audience does not care that he has a black suit.
Now, in the comics, it does play a role in the rejuvenation cycle, but that was only in the comics itself. It
Yeah,
was essentially
you don't
we literally have movies where they they get a new suit every film. So
Yeah,
it's like
it doesn't matter.
I feel like that's kind of a argument in bad faith. Like
Plus-
it's kind of hyperbole. Like
plus-
why is he getting a new suit?
Plus, in the beginning, you see that he got stabbed with the old one. So I'm like, there's no reason to explain it. The general audience does not care that he has a black suit. So, but we're talking about what he does well. It's just whenever you think of a Zack Snyder movie, and no matter what, let me put it this way: remember when that Flash scene, he goes back in time, that was done under quarantine in like a couple of months, and it looks that pretty. Zack is a VFX wizard that he can make VFX look that good in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, and you can really tell the difference between the director who understands CGI and the ones who doesn't. Like you see that in a lot of the Marvel films where it's like because like as a director when you're working with CGI, you need to shoot the scenes a certain way to make it easier for the CGI artist to do their work.
And also, my last strength, Snyder is a master at hiding Easter eggs. Now, this is different than hiding key plot points. What I'm saying is that he makes it so you want to watch the movie. He makes it so you don't want to watch a movie and like be doing something. Because let me put it this way: I've seen the Snyder Cut 11 times. I'm still finding like Easter eggs that I had no idea. And that's actually really good because it encourages rewatchability. That's why people have watched the Snyder Cut. I saw someone in one of my live streams said they watched it over 200 times. They may be exaggerating, but
and you get it, and you get that in like in his non like Watchmen. You get that in Sucker Punch or even Army of the Dead.
In the background of Watchmen, in the beginning opening title sequence where it shows like I think Night Owl saving Bruce Wayne, you see in the background a copy of like Detective 27. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. And it's like that little detail. It's like you don't really need it, but it really helps because like it shows he saved Bruce Wayne's parents, so thus there was never a need for Batman in this universe.
And finally, he's really good at modernizing characters because he made Superman relevant again.
That's actually I want to use that as a springboard for my positive.
Sure, go ahead.
I feel like he's really good at taking the most ridiculous aspects of the comic books and like change and like bring them wholesale and making it work because like so many people it's like, oh, we need to take all this campy aspects and we're gonna put like, oh, these X-Men, what do you want, yellow spandex? No, Zack Snyder would put them in the yellow spandex. X-Men, I'm talking cool. X-Men. Yeah, well, when they did X-Men in 2000, they put them in these leather outfits, which by the way, if you watch behind the scenes, they couldn't even get over 1 foot like embankment on that one, and they literally make a comment like, what do you prefer, yellow spandex? If Zack Snyder directed X-Men, he would put them in the yellow spandex, and they'd look amazing.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, fun fact. I know that you guys probably know this, but the black suit in Zack Snyder's Justice League, they filmed it in the blue and red suit. It's just Warner Brothers wouldn't give him the black suit. So what he did was he did it all in Photoshop and then had it on a switch. So if they ever changed their mind, he could just hit it. That black suit looks like it was filmed in a black suit.
From what I hear, how he did it is the suit was actually specifically designed, like the colors were made so that if you wanted to turn it black, it would actually be really easy to do. That's the story that I heard.
But when you think about it also, it's really hard to like make a thing that moves, change a color and look good. And he somehow did it. And one more strength. Did it.
You SOB, you did it.
One more strength. His casting choices. Because Henry Cavill's suit, they would never have cast like Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and look at where we are today. They would never cast
as Wonder Woman.
No, they would never have cast. He cast unknown because you know what he said. His casting philosophy: he cast them as their secret identities first. And when you think about it, that actually works really well because that's who these characters ultimately are. It's just that they're just them with powers later.
Because people don't really kind of tend to forget, but when Gal Gadot was announced at Wonder Woman, no one, like hardly anyone, was sure of it. Like, oh, she's a supermodel. Oh, you mean that woman from Fast and Furious? Like
the side character in Fast and the Furious.
It's like, and then Wonder Woman came out and literally shut everyone up.
No, BVS came out and shut everyone up because I was sold that. Yeah, I was sold the minute she turned to Bruce Wayne and smiles and goes, I don't think you've ever known a woman like me. And I'm like, that is Diana right there. That is Wonder Woman right there.
I'm sorry. I love her entrance where like she jumps down, she takes the shield, and then like
that scream when she charges at Doomsday. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then when Doomsday knocks her back and she just smiles, that was all improv.
That's my favorite moment because like that is such a great character moment.
It's a Wonder Woman moment.
She's enjoying this. She's enjoying this fight against
him. And that's what Wonder Woman would do. And she said she wanted Wonder Woman to be more feisty. And I'm like, oh, yes. He casts people who get their characters. I mean, hell, Henry freaking Cavill, man. Who, by the way,
to be fair, Henry Cavill, he had almost been cast as Superman twice. He was almost in the J.J. Abrams Superman flyby. He was actually the runner-up in Superman Returns. Brandon Ralph run that role.
Here's how you know he gets Batman. He cast someone that is the perfect Bruce Wayne and the perfect Batman, which we have never had, arguably. Never. Up until Ben Affleck, there's been no one that's been the perfect both. There's been perfect Bruce Waynes and perfect Batman, not both.
Kevin Conroy wants a word with you.
Live action.
Even in Crisis.
Again, Kevin Conroy.
Okay, that's true. But I didn't see him as Batman in live action. I saw him as as evil Bruce Wayne.
Kevin Conroy. I'm sorry.
My point is that he was a pretty kick-ass version of Batman. But my point is, fantastic casting. I'm like, wait. Darkseid's voice actor. Wait.
Oh wait. Wait. I have an argument.
Yeah, go ahead.
Val Kilmer actually was good as both Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Okay.
Yeah, Kilmer was good.
Yeah, Ben Affleck literally built a Batcave in his basement. The dude is Batman in real life. I wouldn't be surprised if we found he's actually Batman. By the way, so I was concerned.
I really hope that if I ever go to Ben Affleck's house, I want to see his Batman suit hanging up right next to his Daredevil suit.
Yeah. So when the Snyder Cut was coming out, I was wondering how's Darkseid going to sound because that's a sound that you have to get right. They did it. They got it right in the DCAU with Ironside, and they also, I think, did pretty decently with DeCamo. But when I heard,
I would have brought Ironside back for DeCamo. That was a solid casting.
But when I heard this,
anti-life is found, Assad, and we will stop at nothing to possess it.
Literal chills.
Can for a sec? Can we also give a shout out to the voice actor for Desaad, who is like so perfect?
Oh yes,
I told you, Steppenwolf would fail. You betrayed him.
I mean, honestly, let's just extend it also to Steppenwolf. I feel like the voice actor for Steppenwolf did an amazing job.
Oh my gosh, it's so much like every time I look at these characters. Let me put it this way. when I read comics, I vacillate between hearing the DCAU voices in my head because I'm a DCAU child, and these actors because it's interchangeable. Literally, I'm just like these. They sound like they're characters.
Now, here's a good roster for Justice League 2: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman,
Wally West, Flash,
maybe Hawk Girl, and John Stewart have the full
and
DCAU.
Martian Manhunter. He exists. How about the reveal that general was Martian Manhunter the whole time, and how that changes you watching Man of Steel and BVS?
Didn't they reveal that in the Snyder Cut?
They did. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that with that knowledge, when you go back and watch Man of Steel and BVS, it changes the way he interacts with everyone. Particularly that scene where he's face to face with Superman in the glass, and Superman goes cards on the table. And by the way,
everyone takes a step back except him.
Here's how you know Zack Snyder got Superman. He has Superman let them put him in handcuffs and Superman says it makes him feel more comfortable. And he just tears it. I'm like, what?
I just love the scene where he just kind of like takes off, like he's like it's like, you know, it's like he just, you know, it's just so great. Like, it's just how easily he does it. It's like, you know.
And once again, my last strength. His action scenes, particularly in Justice League with Superman returning with the axe on the shoulder going not impressed. Because, oh my gosh, because first off, Superman just goes, is that all you got? And I love where, my favorite part about that, Superman doesn't even block it. He just lets it hit and it goes, is that all you got?
Not
so for the most part, I feel like Snyder's action scenes are really good, but sometimes they do get a little bit too chaotic and like and he does kind of let's be honest, he does kind of overindulge the slow-mo sometimes.
But honestly, here's the thing, it's a comic book movie. Tell me that when you read comic books you don't read practically every action scene in slow motion.
I like chocolate. I love cookie dough ice cream, but if I have too much cookie dough ice cream, I'm gonna puke.
There's no such thing as too much slow mo. Is my philosophy ultimately.
My argument is there is such thing as too much slow mo.
All right. The whole movie is slow mo and turns out to be 8 hours.
That's one way to have me not go see it in theaters.
By the way, the Snyder Cut is the only movie where when people say it was too long, I do not accept that criticism because it was intended to be that long for a specific reason. They're approaching it like it's a traditional movie. Snyder didn't know if he was going to get any other things, so they told him, put everything you want in this movie.
Yeah, like, and they even put it into 8 parts. Like, I think at one point they're even going to release it as a mini series where each part was its own episode, where they just kind of put it all there.
I didn't have to wait week to week to watch this because that would have been brutal. Like, no.
Because truth be told, if the Snyder Cut had released in theaters, it would have been at most
2.5,
3 hours, at most 3 hours.
Now probably, but in 2017, I still say 2.5 hours.
Yeah, 2.5 hours would have been the sweet spot. That's
maybe
what I would have.
2:45, maybe
maximum 3 hours.
Maximum, yeah, because there's plenty that he could cut out of Justice League that it doesn't affect the plot that would bring in more value.
Just speed up, just take out some of the slow-mo.
Slow-mo scenes and you're good.
Like literally take out the slow-mo. Bam, now you have a 90-minute movie.
So JJheat, what do you think are Snyder's strengths when it specifically comes to the DC movies?
When it specifically comes to the DC movies, I say great casting, solid direction. A few hiccups here and there, but most of those were corporate oversight. But other than that, his movies have been pretty solid for the most part, except maybe 1 or 2 duds.
The only DC movie, he has the only DC movie that I think is pretty close to, if not perfect, and that's Zack Snyder's Justice League. And that's just because I grew up on the animated show, so I have a little bit more loyalty. I'm gonna inflate those points a little bit.
Zack Snyder Justice League so many times, I would argue you have Stockholm Syndrome.
No, it's not Stockholm Syndrome because he's not holding me prisoner. I voluntarily.
I'm pulling your chain. I'm pulling your chain.
I know.
All right, which is better, Zack Snyder's Justice League or the entire DCAU Cadmus arc? From the
Zack
beginning of
Snyder's Justice League.
No, from the beginning of BTAS all the way to the Cadmus arc and just JLU.
My answer does not change.
Cadmus. I'm sorry.
Cadmus is the better story.
That's fine. You can think that, and you could be wrong. That's fine. So now, honestly, I want to take a quick break. Nick, you have some Screecher stuff you want to talk about. So I'll share screen real quick.
All right. So after a very successful campaign launched on this very channel, Screecher is currently in print. And so I should be getting that back in about 2 weeks or so, and then it's going to be sent onwards to the fulfillment person. And there's a few more things I gotta print, like the holo card and then one of the stickers. And then I'm kind of waiting to get back on the prints for the Talent Edition. So kind of a few kind of more T's across, but like vast majority is getting done. But if you want to grab a book, you still can. The campaign is currently in demand, and you can grab a physical copy or a digital copy. The rest of it's kind of been hidden because it's just kind of complicates things a little bit too much. But you can still grab a book if you want to.
I'm putting the link in the chat. And here's Nick right now. Hang on. I have a live footage of Nick right now.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
There you go. I was saving that one for that.
Anchorman do you have?
Just 2. I have
so
60% of the time, it works every time.
So not only have you uploaded the entirety of Zack Snyder's Justice League to your StreamYard, you have also uploaded the entirety of both Seinfeld and Anchorman.
Not the entirety. Not the entirety.
Gonna have me fooled.
But so. And actually, I want to ask the chat. But I wouldn't be surprised if Zack Snyder's Justice League is the peak of comic book films, and nothing reaches that epic again. Probably.
Endgame comes close.
Endgame comes very close.
But here's the thing: Zack Snyder's. Here's the problem with Endgame. You could still legitimately watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, just that, not watching the previous 2 movies, and kind of get what's going on. With
Endgame, that's why I said Endgame comes close. Close.
Because Endgame, really, when you think about it, is horrible if you haven't watched the previous 22 movies.
I'd actually argue Infinity War is probably like that one. Actually, probably has a better chance of like.
Yes.
Like that one, you could actually make a better argument of saying if you said if someone says Infinity War is better than Snyder Cut, I'm not going to hate them for it because they're almost neck and neck. Because Infinity War is actually a really good movie. And you could actually watch it in isolation, and it's amazing. It's
close. It's not surpassing, but it's very, very. It's like right here, practically right there.
Yeah, Endgame requires you literally watch all that stuff so you get all the references.
Yeah, and that's not honestly I mean, I get it, but that's not the indicator of a good movie, though.
Infinity War, they could literally be your first Marvel movie. And you can understand it.
And you can understand pretty much what's going on, yeah. And Spider-Man actually has an interesting point. In that way, it is better than Endgame.
Well, this is actually a take of his that I finally agree with.
If you want to talk about a movie that makes you feel, Nick. And by the way, that's another thing. Zack Snyder's movies make you feel. Like again, we talked about this when we did Man of Steel. When John Kent... But when John Kent... But when Clark said, I'm going to play it. But when Clark says, "Can't we just keep pretending I'm your son?" And then you hear like that crack of
"You are my son."
Costner's voice. "You are my son." Yeah. And by the way, Nick, this is for you. You think you can threaten my mother? Again, oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Also, the "You are my son" that does get me in the feels.
Yeah. I love Infinity War, but didn't care for Endgame. It felt like the MCU was getting high on its own supply for the whole runtime. It was too sappy and self-referential.
I think it was well earned, given what they had set up and managed to do. So if it did get a little high and mighty, it was well earned.
A little.
I'm sorry, that portal scene gets me every time. It like the whole like
T'Challa comes out now.
No, like because it's such a great because like there's it's like a bottom. You're at the bottom of the emotional level because Thanos has just kicked your butts, and then you hear on your left, and then you see the portal start to open up, and the music just keeps swelling.
And what's interesting,
freaking, and it's like Avengers.
He finally says it, and then what I love about that scene is that the whole movie is basically about the original Avengers, pretty much. So then what that scene actually is every single... It's the other Marvel movies coming up and saying, no, we got your back, guys.
I just wish
and
there
everyone
was
has
another
those
portal. And then like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage would have walked through.
And you have those... And
they were
then
exclusively Netflix, and they didn't want to carry them over.
I know.
And they
I
decanonized a lot of them. I mean, the only time that they referenced the MCU, arguably, was when they referenced Avengers 1, saying, okay, aliens invaded and crashed into the sky and stuff.
I mean, to be fair, there were a couple instances where, like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. referenced the Netflix stuff. Like, there's, like, this one instance where it's like, oh, we're going to use Judas bullets, which were from Luke Cage. You know, but that's because the TV arm was kind of under like Perlmutter and Jeff Loeb's supervision, so like they could actually do something like that, where like they can actually the Netflix shows can be referenced on the TV. And
by the way, the one scene from Endgame that gets me every time in the feels is when Tony Stark is reunited with Spider-Man and he just hugs him.
Yeah,
but the best scene in the movie, I arguably not necessarily the portal scene. It's the part where Captain America beats Thanos' ass with the hammer. Because that harkens back... Wait. That harkens back to Avengers 1 when Iron Man said, everything special about you came out of a bottle. That hammer literally says no. And it's not only like swinging the hammer, because Cap's done that before. He brings down lightning!
The reason Cap wasn't worthy was because he kept the secret about Bucky and what happened to Tony's parents.
No, Cap was always worthy because, like, if you noticed in Age of Ultron,
he moved it.
And because here's the thing, there is no. It's either you're worthy or you're not. Okay, and the fact that he budged it a little bit, and like they actually make a very big point of it, nudging it, and Thor noticing it, and it's honestly it's perfectly in line with Cap's kind of like thing. Where like he would not pick up the hammer to save his buddy's like ego. That is 100%.
And the Russo bros did say Cap was always. He said exactly that. He said, "Yeah, Cap was always worthy. He just didn't want to hurt Thor's feelings." By the way, speaking of Thor,
reference that in Endgame where Thor says, "I knew it." You know that.
I know what I wanted. What I just wanted. It would have made Endgame that much better, that last battle that much better, is if Hulk actually hulked out and at least got a few punches on Thanos because of what happened in Infinity War.
Well, he did lose an arm trying to undo the snap. So.
No, but I mean, they could have just had him like Hulk out, and then even if he got punched away, just have the Hulk just go full Savage Hulk and just beat Thanos.
At the time, he was Professor Hulk, so like they'd become one. I
know. So. Well, first off, I wouldn't have put him as Professor freaking Hulk at all. Come on.
Again. Hulk got done dirty because they didn't want to directly collab with Universal due to licensing.
And Thor, don't even get me started on what they did to my boy Thor. Oh my gosh!
Like, I actually like. I don't mind the idea of what they did, but like they had way too many mean-spirited fat jokes. I'm sorry,
but
Thor
like, has dealt with...
you. Guess what I have running through me? Cheese Whiz. Like it just
you look like a tub of melted ice cream. But like
there are so many mean-spirited.
There have been stories where Thor dealt with PTSD, but did not let his body go and become a fat joke. Yeah, they totally nerfed Hulk and Thanos. Well, not
like,
Thanos.
I like the idea of Thor having PTSD because, like, especially those events, those would mess him up, and I could totally see him retreating and like getting fat. Like, I have no problem with like the whole idea of Fat Thor, but like the way they treated him, they made him
the comedic relief.
Let me put it this way: Infinity War, I think, was the best Thor because guess what? It was a mix of humor, but also had the return of the serious Thor. It's only when Endgame and on is when they completely destroyed him because they saw that Ragnarok was popular and they decided, okay, so let's put a little humor in there, but let's not overdo it.
I will say the "I'm still worthy" scene where like he's talking to his mother.
That's great.
And like he calls his hammer. like I'm sorry, that gets me in the feels.
And
The worst moment in Endgame is when they're in where Rocket like literally slaps him.
Thor.
I'm sorry, that is not what you do for those
Yes.
type of people. He was literally having it because like I suffer from mental health issues, and like that is not what you do. Like that
Yeah, you
that
don't.
scene disgusts. Like that
That
moment
was just a
disgusts me.
cheap joke.
And by
But
the
like
way,
the scene with his mother was beautiful. Like that is exactly what he needed at that time, and like that I'm still worried. Like, and the plus the thing is like his problems weren't fixed. Like he wasn't magically better, but he was on the that was when he was on the path to becoming better. And I just
and
love
by the
that
way,
scene.
one of my favorite Thor moments in Endgame was when he Thors out with the 2 hammers and he goes, "Let's kill him properly this time." I'm like, yes,
Oh, like you just hear it in his like. I love it. Okay, I love or like you hear it in his voice and like the thunder crackling, like the sound design was
Oh, by the
so
way,
good.
wait. I love when Cap when they switch hammers and Cap goes, "No, give me that. You have the little one." I love that.
This is my favorite scene. Captain Marvel, but then Thanos just punches him.
He punches her out because previously they had marketed her as she could beat Thanos, and I'm like, what just that? The scene that cringed the hell out of me was when all the female superheroes are conveniently in one spot, and they're like, "She's got help," and I'm like, "Oh, this
I
is
will say, Scarlet Witch almost soloing.
oh,
Thanos,
that was dope.
That was
Yes.
like
I didn't even know who you are. You will. I'm like, yes.
like knowing how much power Scarlet Witch has, and knowing like how angry.
Oh, she could have.
Yeah, she could have.
He had to literally open fire on his own troops to stop her. Like that scene, like you want to do a good girl power moment, that was perfectly how you did.
And I will say, Captain Marvel's entrance to that final battle was pretty dope. Where it's like they build it up. They're firing at the sky. Something just entered the upper atmosphere. This ball of fire just goes right through his ship. And he's like, "Oh hell!" And then Rocket's like, "Oh hell yes!"
Yeah, and you heard it kind of had that musical cue where it's like, "Ee,"
And
you know.
the scene where she's like interlocked with Thanos, and then he headbutts her, and she doesn't even flinch.
No, the power punch was funny.
Yeah, I'm like that was actually really. Oh, I love where in the very beginning of the movie, Thor goes, "I like this one."
Yeah, it makes sense. You know,
I'm telling you,
know.
It was actually. And how about Hawkeye's arc in Endgame specifically?
And the fact that they kind of picked that up in the
Hawkeye
I'm sorry, the Disney Plus series is actually really good. I actually might do a rewatch of it.
Look at Dave. That's pretty much what it was when they all assemble.
That was such, and like most of them didn't even do anything. Like they literally were there just to pose. Most of them.
Yeah, I'm like that is stupid.
Like I'm sorry, because also the thing is, Captain Marvel literally could have just flown that across.
Just flew right in. I'm like, what is it? She flew through a ship. I'm pretty sure she could just knock back everyone, including
or
him.
like if they wanted Peter there with her, he could literally just web onto the gauntlet. Like, okay, I'm gonna transport the gauntlet. You hold on to the gauntlet.
I love where Cap throws the hammer and Peter webs onto it. It's like holding on for dear life as it takes the places. That was so good.
Also, I love how they finally did instant kill mode. Like they kind of paid that off.
They build that up.
Like
I love where Scott Lang becomes Giant Man and punches one of those sky snakes. He's just like, boom. I'm like, that was so dope as hell. That was so
also like I'm sorry, that scene is so good. Like one of my favorite moments is when T'Challa says, "Clint, give me it."
Yeah,
you know, because that's paying off from Civil War, where he says like, "I'm Hawkeye, I don't care." You know,
how about when Falcon rams that beast and just stabs his wings into him? He's like, ugh! I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
This is so good. This is so. It's like I'm saying, there's so many good action scenes in that movie. It's just
also the Red Skull being the Guardian. Oh my! Like it wasn't played like
yeah.
weaving, but like you got to imagine
the effect was still there.
Like I like just imagine when Captain America went and returned to Vonomir to return the stone. That meeting had to be awkward.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that? Did you guys see they're going to kill Black Widow coming? I thought they were going to kill Hawkeye in reference to him becoming like an assassin, essentially.
I got. If you actually watch the scene, they actually did set up her death really well because, like,
they did.
You know, I just like that scene. It breaks my heart.
But the problem is, I wouldn't have released. The problem is that a Black Widow movie came out afterwards. That kind of
They
it was a long time to release that.
They literally should have had that movie to come out when Captain Marvel came out. Like they literally should have
instead,
come out
I
that.
mean, you would have.
Yeah, it would have still been out of place, but after she's dead, what?
I mean, it's not that it wouldn't really be that hard.
Just cut out the end part. The end part, the funeral. That's all you have to cut out, and it's good. It's done.
Because I mean, because it takes place after Civil War, but like
Before Infinity War.
before Infinity War, kind of thing. I actually thought Black Widow was okay, but like it came out way too late.
Taskmaster's the reason to hate that movie.
I mean, okay.
The reveal is like Taskmaster himself or herself, spoiler alert, was fine, but the reveal killed the character.
And what's kind of funny, the stunt actor is male that they used.
And not even, it's just the villain. I mean, we get it, but what?
I do like the idea where they use the Red Room as like an analogy for like sex trafficking,
No, that's great. Great.
I thought that was like
the
that
opening
really
credit sequence was fantastic.
Oh, that cover of "Smells Like Teen Spirit" is so good.
It's just, yeah, it's kind of funny. I had seen going into this movie previously of people posting on Twitter, okay, and they ruined Taskmaster, and I was like, okay, this could be a lot of people overreacting. The minute that reveal happened, also, God.
Did you know that there's a mutant in Black Widow?
Yeah. Ursa.
What he says,
Major, right?
Ursa Major, where he's like, you little bear. Because Ursa Major is a Russian mutant that can turn into a bear.
It's kind of funny because look up the Guardian Project or something. It's called it's actually just called Guardian. It's a Russian Avengers movie where someone transforms into a bear. It's actually really good.
Okay, so my biggest missed opportunity is in the post-credit scene for No Way Home. They revealed Matt Gargan the Scorpion, and the actor they had for him was perfect. It was Voss from Far Cry 3. And that kind of chaotic energy for Matt Gargan Scorpion.
That was very solid casting.
It was so good. Sorry.
No.
This is why it was so bad.
No,
because no. Hear me out. The gender bending I could live with, but making Taskmaster a mute, that is 100% not the character.
No.
If she had been like throwing out like practical jokes and like
little
taunts,
there.
That's what Taskmaster does.
Or even just
you know what's better? You know what's bad? When the Avengers game has a better Taskmaster than you do.
Like you could have easily had her character be like she knows that Natasha is the one that got her blown up, so she hates Natasha, for that, and like in that and it could be revealed that like she you think she's being mind controlled, but she's not. She's totally on board with these plans. Like that would be a freaking
robot thing. I'm like, what?
Like imagine that plot twist where you think they spray her with the thing.
Yes,
and it's like, and she's and then it's like a pause, and then she just keeps punching him.
And by the way, the creative's reason for that change is because they couldn't figure out a way to have Taskmaster have the male Taskmaster be in the Black Widow headquarters, and I'm like, he trains supervillain henchmen for a living. He could be an instructor of the Black Widows. What are you doing, you idiots?
I mean, the fact is they could have made the female Taskmaster work with a few tweaks. But that's really the biggest shame. Because that's the problem. I get the story. They wanted They wanted daughter. They wanted it to be his daughter. They wanted to be like he perverted his own daughter. They wanted that story beat, which okay, cool, it shows how monstrous he is. But like, I thought it would have been a really great story beat, like I said earlier, where he's totally online because of the explosion.
Actually, by the way, since we're having a fantastic discussion about this, let's talk about our favorite parts of Phase 4 as our last topic for tonight. Okay.
Before we do this, can we show some love to Michael Keaton for his perfect portrayal of the Vulture?
Oh yes. He was Vulture. He was perfectly fine. I had no issues with him as Vulture.
Are we counting No Way Home because that was technically a collab and Sony got most of the money?
No, we're counting it because it takes place in the MCU.
Also, can we give a shout out to the DC references in that movie? There's 2 of them. No Flash, you're not fast enough. And then also, I don't know if you guys caught it, but like when Spider-Man's being carried by the Vulture and he's let go, when he looks up, you can actually see this like quick shot of like the Vulture framed against the moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like from Batman, from actually, you know, like I think it's supposed to be a stand up of that one shot from '89 where he flies up and you see the moon.
Yeah. I like that. But my favorite Phase 4 project is probably Hawkeye.
Same.
Hawkeye was freaking. It made me like Kate Bishop. That's the thing. And by the way, Kate, it's like Hawkeye and Ms. Marvel. I did not expect to like that much.
Yelena.
Yelena was really the only worthwhile contribution that Black Widow made to the MCU.
Like, can I just say, Yelena in 2 projects. Yelena in 2 projects. Florence Pugh has done such a good job that I'm perfectly okay with her being. I'm fine with her being.
Well, because here's the thing: the mantle died. I mean, the previous holder died, so of course I'm fine with it.
Also, the fact that like,
hey, what's up, Teladia?
Also the fact that like Black Widow is not just Natasha's title; it's literally all the titles.
Yeah, so I'm not. Plus the fact again, I love Florence Pugh. She's fantastic,
and she's so great in Hawkeye. Like she's just so much fun to watch.
I love her back and forth with Kate is fantastic. Now
it's like you can tell, you know, she's like doing kid gloves with her, you know, but like it's like.
Okay, Multiverse of Madness. Let's talk about that real quick because my problem with Multiverse.
I love Sam Raimi. I love Sam.
I love it.
Not even he could save that movie.
I liked his horror elements. That was actually really cool. I just didn't like how they made Reed Richards look like an idiot, revealing Black Bolt's powers. So they wasted the Illuminati.
There have been instances where Reed has been douchey or cocky.
And wait, the way they killed Professor X.
Oh, that's yeah, and that film also it suffers from the same problem that so many other things do. Is when you have this like uber powerful character, you got to take them out first because everything else would, you know, like Professor X could literally like solve that problem in 2 seconds.
Could stop his mind and be done with it.
Then why include Professor X? I know Illuminati and that was awesome, by the way.
Also, the fact he was in the anime series wheelchair.
Yeah, I love that. But yeah, so it was kind of that, but I will say the movie that I think is mid, not horrible, but mid is Eternals.
I have not seen Eternals.
Okay, mid. It's not great. It's not
great.
It's not horrible, but I think I give it probably a 5 out of 10, honestly.
For me, the movie that is aggressively mid is Shang-Chi. Like, obviously the martial arts are great. And visually, it's pretty good, but like the story is kind of generic.
Again, why are we getting origin movies this late into the MCU when we've already had origin movies? This is really annoying because now it's
because they're trying to introduce a new cast. They're trying to introduce a new crop of characters.
Mm-hmm. That's true. This is true though. It gives you full power Wanda. I will give you that. That was one of the best parts of Multiverse of Madness. But in terms of what I think is the worst, in terms of Moon Knight, I couldn't understand what the hell was going on with Moon Knight. So I'm just going to go on.
Moon Knight was more of a standalone piece, but I get your point. Okay,
I think my second favorite is Spider-Man because of having all the Spider-Man. The one that was in Phase 4. There's only one in Phase 4.
Oh, No Way Home, it's great on your first viewing. The second viewing, it kind of drops a few points for me. No, first viewing is a 9.0. Second viewing, it kind of drops to a 7.
Okay, but like this way, I like that a lot for the nostalgia value. But actually, yeah, but
I mean, yeah, like honestly, like Andrew Garfield is acting his heart out, and yeah, seeing Tobey Maguire is really great. Like, yeah, I'm not like, yeah, those parts are great. I love it.
I'm something of a scientist myself.
Second act.
What's FFM?
Far From Home.
It's Phase 4.
Oh, that's the tail end of Phase 3.
Far From Home is the epilogue
to 3, so it's still in 3.
Yeah, it's the last film of Phase 3. It's the epilogue to Endgame.
But I will say, I very much enjoyed Ms. Marvel, and here's why. Normally, I hate the character in the comics, but they cast someone that's so delightful in the role.
You can't be mad at her.
She's a legit Marvel fan, if you've heard this girl speak. So I'm like, you know what? You get the character.
I just want to like take her to a coffee shop, like grab a drink, and then I just want to talk like Marvel Comics with her.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Kamala is supposed to be a Marvel Comics nerd. So she is Kamala in real life. So I'm like,
yeah,
oh, okay.
like the enthusiasm, she nailed it, honestly.
Literally is Kamala.
All right, I got a challenge for you guys.
The worst project, She-Hulk.
Speaking of which, name one good thing about She-Hulk. Name one.
Daredevil.
No, because that's
The Daredevil action scenes, though.
Okay, I'll give you that, but that's okay. What She-Hulk essentially was a transition piece for Daredevil Born Again. So unless we completely take that,
I have so many words about that because like they did the Born Again storyline in season 3. Even if they're doing a reboot, the fact that they're doing the Born Again storyline again is just stupid.
You say this every week, Nick, but
because every time it's brought up, it triggers me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I haven't watched Werewolf by Night. I will watch that. But
and this is all I'm going to say about Phase 4. I just felt like you knew it was going to be a dud, but
there's one project we forgot to mention: Loki.
Oh, Quantumania, Ant-Man 3, or is that going to get carried over to Phase 5?
I think it's still in. I think it's getting carried over, but Loki.
It was okay.
It was enjoyable. It was.
I liked the conspiracy theory references, like Loki was DB Cooper, or like in like the dumping world, you could literally see a Polybius cabinet, like in that bowling alley. There's a Polybius cabinet, which is such a deep cut. Only people who are like really deep into like video games and like the conspiracy theories regarding video games would even recognize that, and that made me happy.
The Thanos helicopter, the Thor frog. I'm like, okay, I like that, and I like how it brings in the multiverse. I like that.
It had a nice attention to detail,
and I liked how I liked Kang. He's basically Kang. He's like, I've been called the Conqueror, and I'm like, I like it.
I might be
also female Loki. I actually liked her character.
I just wish they had made her Enchantress, but that's besides the point.
Thank you. That's all what I was gonna say.
I mean, they still could technically.
No, but they said she's a Loki. Enchantress is not a Loki.
I think they.
This is the MCU. They could just,
Yeah, but I think that they wanted to play into that whole self-cess narrative, where a narcissistic character ends up shit with their own doppelganger.
I mean, they literally say as much in the series. Like, only Loki could fall in love with Loki. Like, I think they literally say that.
But I liked Kang in that show, honestly. And that honestly got me really excited for Ant-Man.
So, if the only thing that the word
Dave, save yourself.
Dave?
Daredevil 03 is better than She-Hulk.
Wait.
The fact that Owen Wilson's character in Loki never said "wow" makes this show a 0 out of 10.
And by the way, speaking of She-Hulk, okay, here's what She-Hulk did to Daredevil. They put him out on the table, took a machete, and chopped off his balls, and just handed it back to him. And by the way, going back to
another guy for half a bag of chips.
And by the way, JJheat, the Daredevil director's cut is really good. By the way, what's kind of funny, Nick. Nick, I want to tell you this. So apparently, my opinion. So when I first saw the Daredevil movie, I thought it was really good. Hang on, I didn't know this, but apparently, the time when I watched it, the first time watching it, I watched the director's cut. It turns out I have only watched from beginning to end the director's cut. That's why I always tell people Daredevil's not that bad, because I'm watching the good version.
I was actually raised on the original version, the theatrical cut. I actually only watched the director's cut like this year. And yeah, the director's cut's better. But like, I kind of have a nostalgic kind of love for the original Daredevil.
What about the Fantastic Four duology?
It's actually quite different because like they cut out a lot of the court drama. They cut out a lot of that, and some of like it's kind of like a BVS situation where like they cut out a lot of the plot, like a lot of the slower plot, and a lot of it doesn't make sense. A lot of the connective tissue, like they cut out the entire court plot and whatnot, and so it's just yeah.
And by the way, speaking of Fantastic Four, guess what I watched? on the
Fan
tail.
Four Stick?
I watched Fan Four Stick recently,
Poor soul.
and I was like, oh, this is just as bad as I remember it. In fact, my dad comes into my room. He's like, oh, well, what are you watching? I'm like, Fantastic Four. ... The bad one. Because actually, go back to what you said, JJheat. I enjoy the two Fantastic Four movies, and I think
2000
for a
like,
reason.
Okay,
So
their
the 2000, I will say,
Wait.
I gotta say this. Their biggest sin was trying to cram
Was
Silver
talking.
Surfer and Galactus in the same movie. They were not going to be able to pull off Galactus with 2000 CGI. They just weren't going to do it.
The Cloud was stupid, but Nick, go on.
I will say 2005 Fantastic Four is legitimately a good movie, and I feel like they nail the Fantastic Four. Like that thing gets it. They get the family, they get the tone. I think the actors are perfect for that for those roles. I think that is a legitimately good Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, it's very good. My problem, I think that for two, they could have just had Silver Surfer be the bad guy, and then build up to like say, oh, my master is coming, and then maybe if they wanted to do a third one, they could do actually Galactus, because the Cloud is not Galactus. That is,
I mean, the fact that I get that like Doctor Doom is kind of like their only villain for Fantastic Four. I mean, they could have done the Mole Man.
Their only real villain, Namor.
I would love if they beat the crap out of Namor, because you know what? I hate that character so much.
Okay. So if they would have like my casting for Namor, if they would have done that with Taylor Kitsch.
He could have pulled it off.
He could have actually pulled that off.
Because remember, he did Gambit in Origins Wolverine.
And he's played douchebags before, so he's perfect for playing Namor.
Yeah, I think he could have done Namor.
He could have pulled it off.
Yeah, there's this fantastic panel of Fantastic Four where Namor has to kiss Sue, and you could see Ben actually holding back Reed. It's so good. It's like, dude, I want to kick his ass, but you gotta let this happen. It was like somehow connected to the plot. If it was connected as part of the MCU in the past few years, people would have loved it.
Here's the thing about Fan Four Stick. I feel like Toby Kebbell.
No.
Actually,
he wasn't talking about that one. Nick,
I'm kind of jumping where it's like I feel like Toby Kebbell as an actor could have done Doctor Doom really well. I feel like as an actor he could have done it.
By the way,
there's
a Snyder cut of Fan Four Stick that's way better apparently.
Is it the train cut?
Yeah, it's called the train cut.
I'll go ahead and say this. Fan Four Stick was cracked out because they knew if they didn't have a Fantastic Four project, Fox would lose the rights and it would go back.
Yeah, it was an ass can movie. Except this time they should have just hired Roger Corman again.
And by the way,
wait. Okay, the Roger Corman version is better than Fan Four Stick.
Yeah, and by the way, Spider-Man. Yes, I know he's always going for Sue, but he goes for literally every woman. That's why he annoys the hell out of me.
It's kind of like a Phoenix, Jean Grey, Scott, and Emma Frost situation, where Sue did have an emotional affair with Namor to an extent, but that's because Reed wasn't giving her enough attention. And
she broke up with Namor and said, "No, I'm committed to Reed."
I'm sorry, but like when a woman cheats, says, "Oh, you weren't giving me attention," that's just excuses.
And by the way, speaking of the Emma Frost thing. No. That's not an excuse, because there are plenty of men that don't do that.
A real man doesn't seduce a married woman.
Or here's the other part with the whole Emma Frost and Scott thing. He's constantly making moves on Emma Frost when she constantly tells him, "No, I'm with Scott," and he goes, and he basically keeps trying to kiss her, and I'm like, dude, you're a douchebag right now. I really hope that Scott takes your head off right about now.
Scott kind of is a douchebag, at least in the more modern stories. Like pre-Phoenix, he wasn't that bad.
No,
they basically took all the a lot of the negative aspects of Magneto and put it onto Scott.
Pretty much.
Well, what I'm saying is that Emma committed to Scott and repeatedly told Namor, "I'm not interested." Let me put it this way: Namor's like an asshole version of Black Adam, and that says a lot. By the way, Black Adam is an artful asshole if you read the comics. He's actually really dope. I love that character so much. Yeah, I started reading his comics recently. They are fantastic.
He ain't gonna bother you if you're not a threat or interacting with Kondak in any way. He's not gonna bother you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I can get that. It's just it's not my type of character.
There's a way to go about it. Like there's being an asshole and there's just being a blatant douchebag.
And
Well,
he's
the
a
problem
blatant
is
douchebag.
the problem is they keep flirting with him being like a hero and a villain. If he was a straight out villain, him
That'd be
trying to
different.
make the moves on Sue would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with him. He should be a villain because then I can watch like Scott and Reed and the Avengers beat the crap out of him on a daily basis. I would buy every issue. If
Rip tiny little wings off of his feet.
I would love a Max series where the Punisher takes a hacksaw and just
Too far. Too far.
That's a Max series. I would love. You know what I would love to see? A book where it's Deadpool just screwing with Namor. That would be so
Wouldn't that
good.
just be another Tuesday?
Yeah, no, but just specifically, he targets Namor because he's like, "Not cool, dude. You're violating the bro code," and then he just goes up to because Namor's always seducing, taking women. So Deadpool goes, "Okay, you know what? I'm gonna make you hate your life."
Okay, here's the thing. Namor makes a pass at Vanessa.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that.
Oh, and then he immediately goes to Reed. How do I kill Namor?
It's like, I'm gonna chop off those wings, deep fry them, and then serve them to your sister.
No, watch. He's like, if only I were Batman, then I'd already have thought of ways to kill Namor. Black Adam and Sinestro are way. Yes, they are way better than they absolutely. And Sinestro,
Sinestro does have douchebag vibes, but he carries them with class.
and he's a villain, and he's mostly a villain. So it's like, okay, it's part of being a villain.
But also with Sinestro, his motivations for becoming a villain are he got
Relatively
tired of the bureaucracy of the Green Lanterns. He wanted to act. You know, he's one of those characters where it's like his evil is justified from his point of view. Like if you actually put yourself in his head, like, okay, he's kind of like not as well made as Magneto, but like he's kind of in that same.
He's no dark side. He's no dark side. He essentially he wants to pursue the same goals as the Green Lantern Corps. Just he wants to be able to do whatever means
Necessary.
Yeah, exactly,
Mm-hmm.
and that's ultimately what happens there.
Yeah.
And with Black Adam, it's like you don't mess with Kondak, I won't mess with you. If you do mess with Kondak, I will rip your head off. Because actually, I was reading a comic today where Black Adam. Here's how he makes his arrival. So he and the JSA are attacking. His version of the JSA are attacking this compound, and there's this guard that's like standing guard, like actually right here. So the guard is standing right there at guard, and then here's how Black Adam arrives. He just crushes the dude, and I'm like, oh, that's dope. Again, this is why, thanks to The Rock, I started reading Black Adam comics, and I'm like, oh, this dude is actually. Why wasn't I reading Black Adam?
And I will say this. If we were, because we did say we were going to talk about this, if we were running DCU.
Actually, yes, we do have to do that. So, that'll be our last topic. So go ahead, JJheat.
I would say, and not so much in terms of the legacy thing. I would play. First off, I would just have Batman and Selena go ahead and get married, and then while they're on that private island, that would be their honeymoon, and we would have just left it at that.
If I ran DC, Superman would be married to Wonder Woman.
Nah.
Wonder Bat.
No. Batman's taken with Catwoman.
Okay.
Right. A fun fact.
Your terms are acceptable.
That's why I say, I'm like, compared to Batman's relationship with Catwoman, Wonder Bat does not hold up because I think he has a better relationship with Catwoman.
He arguably has a better relationship with Talia than he does Diana.
Thank you, JJheat, my man. In fact, actually, you know what? You're getting this, dude. I saved this for special occasions now, but you just made me happy.
A man.
Wonderborg.
Too far.
No.
We have entered crack ship territory. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just finish this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Batman and Talia basically reflects the inner darkness of Batman's crusade. They're two sides of the same coin, which makes that relationship so toxic. Yes, depending on the continuity, Talia took advantage of him, but that toxicity was already in play if you take Batman's crusade into context. All she really did was just baby trap him. That's really all she did.
I mean, she slips them into his drink, put a little roofie in there.
Essentially. Oh, and by the way, yes, you did hear Wonder Bat, but I was saying it doesn't work compared to Batman.
There is one Wonder Bat, and that is in Deceased.
Yes, that one works. That one honestly works, and that's it's kind of funny. That's immediately what popped into my mind. I was like, why?
Also,
do I like
for the record, I don't actually care about Wonder Bat. I just like teasing with it.
I know. And by the way, Dave the Impaler says the Black Adam story in the new 52 by Johns Morrison, Wade, and Griffin is awesome. Highly recommend if you haven't read it yet. I will check that out because I'm interested in reading a lot of Black Adam stuff. Oh, the 52 series. I'm reading that. Isn't that the one where he brings in ISIS and all that stuff? I love that run. What's up?
Read World War III. Read World War III.
I will. Yeah, that's on the list. I've heard that one's great.
All right, Nick, what would you do if you ran DC?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, in that version. Well, first off, okay, so
Nightwing would be with Starfire.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one.
Nightfire. I'm sorry, Nightfire.
Okay. Okay. All
right, you know what? It's your running DC. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I ain't getting in this.
I'm not getting into this debate, Nick.
Basically, Tim Drake would be Red Robin. Basically, I just bring it back to pre-Flashpoint.
Pre-Flashpoint. Or in other words,
no, actually, post-Batman Battle for the Cowl, like that kind of era. I feel like that era kind of deserved to be more explored than it did. Like basically, Dick is Batman, Damian is Robin, Tim is Red Robin, trapezing around Europe. Interacting with the League of Shadows. I feel like those are actually some really cool stories. You had Spoiler as Batgirl. I feel like they're kind of. I feel like it was kind of a 2-year era where they're actually doing some really interesting things, and they just kind of threw it away.
Which is basically describes DC.
And really, you could have made it work. Bruce is running Batman Inc. Bruce is semi-retired with Catwoman, and then you still could have had versus Leviathan with his baby mama.
So me, if I ran DC, number one, and Tevi, this is for you, our DA is John Kent.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, because as much as we give Tevi crap about that, I actually agree with him. So
contracting Bendis was an honest to God mistake.
I would immediately launch a public initiative, kind of like how they're doing Dawn of DC, called Bendis. In other words, I would legit say we're Bendising DC. Essentially, every contribution he made.
What about detailoring and de-kinging?
We'll get there.
I'm going to get there. Give me time. But I would eliminate everything that Bendis ever contributed to DC because arguably nothing he contributed was of any value.
With the exception of his Young Justice one. It was better than the Dark Crisis tie-in.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
You got to give him that.
And then immediately, okay, so I would DA John Kent, and you know what? For Tevia, relaunch these Super Sons under Tomasi. Just do that.
Well, Tevia's happy now.
And then immediately I would say, okay, so we're going to continue Zack Snyder's original storyboards. It's a comic book. Immediately. And then in terms of Batman, I would have him with Catwoman because that works. I would have them get they could still have them, in other words, get married. I would not have killed Alfred because that's a moron doing things.
And then Wonder Woman, she lands her invisible jet at the Fortress of Solitude. She enters, and then Wonder Bat.
Well, actually, wait. Why is Wonder? Wait.
No. Think about it. If we actually let the original City of Bane play out, Diana is technically Bruce's rebound when Selena leaves him.
No. But wait. Here's why I'm a little confused. If she lands,
that was to make sure if you're paying attention.
Yeah. Wait. If she lands at the fortress, how does Wonder Bat happen?
It doesn't. That was me trying to.
Yeah, good. Immediately, I was like, well, as soon as you said fortress and Wonder Bat, I was like, wait a second here.
So Wonder Woman enters the fortress, and then some super wonder happens.
Well, actually, what I would have done is I would have continued the new 52 Super Wonder series that they had going on, because that was first off, that was a decent series. I would eliminate everything from volumes 3 and 4. In other words, because here's why. Because what happened after Charles Soule was kicked off the book is that DC wanted to reboot and put Superman back with Lois, so they put who was the one for 3 or 4, but what they wanted to do, DC deliberately tanked that book in order for Superman. Yeah. What's up, Nick?
You know what you need to do for your comic book, right?
Yeah.
You know that cover where it's like up in the air and like Superman and Wonder Woman are like embracing each other in the air?
I'm doing that.
You need to do that cover for your comic.
I'm going, because the way it's going to work is that it's going to be one book, but it's going to have chapters, and each chapter has its own unique cover that's going to be homaging some DC. It's going to be...
You need to do that.
The issue, when they get together, is going to have that. Absolutely, Nick.
You freaking better.
You know me. It has to. What's up, JJheat?
And I will concede this. I actually would have had both pre-Crisis from Convergence. That way you get John Kent. Be a mentor to his New 52 counterpart. And then
that would have been cool, because you could have had a story where he's telling him, okay, you're doing good. Here's how I was Superman. And you could have had Superman, because the thing about the New 52, he was inexperienced. So essentially, he could have gotten experience from the one that fought Doomsday and everything. So,
or maybe something like this: you have a pre-Flashpoint Superman coordinate with the Justice League and help team them, and then you have Clark, and then you have New 52 Superman doing it. You essentially you still have two Superman, but they're still the same person.
And then what I would have done is, so here's a rumor that Donna Troy's origin for the New 52 was going to be she was the daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman. Let me put it this way: it would have been a better origin than they've given.
I agree. They've always had a clusterfuck with Donna Troy, but you mean to tell me that the New 52 Donna Troy was essentially going to be a love child from their brief fling?
Wait. Because it wasn't going to be a brief fling. That's why I say 3 and 4 turned it into a brief fling, because it went downhill after that. And arguably, they got back to head together before they self-destructed. And by the way, Superman would not self-destruct at the end of my story. That was so dumb as hell. It was a good story, but it was stupid as hell. Then what I would do is immediately give a little more attention to Connor Kent, because I think he gets ignored way too much.
Yeah, he gets done dirty.
And then
also pair him with Miss Martian.
Okay, fine.
That's more Young Justice exclusive, but I can see where you're coming from.
And then
I'm sorry, they make a great couple.
Immediately, I would have a Jessica Cruz book, because she's a fantastic Green Lantern character, in the right hands, and essentially have her do her own. I would essentially do kind of what they're doing here, and have a Hal Jordan book, a John Stewart book, and a Jessica Cruz book. What's up, Nick?
So you're saying you want to bring her into the limelight?
Her name's not Limelight. They only called her that in the movie. Just want to tell you that right there. What's up, JJheat?
Oh, hey, the joke still stands. It
still stands.
And I would actually have a Teen Titans book where we.
Of course.
You can't go wrong with a Teen Titans book.
All right. Heat, can I pick up the torch on this one?
Go ahead.
So here's how I would do it. Cyborg is the Justice League liaison.
Yeah.
To the Teen Titans.
Basically,
Cyborg.
Okay.
So that way you can get Cyborg on the Teen Titans, but still have them be Justice Leaguer. Basically, it's kind of like the Camu mixed with like the Wolfman version, where I actually really like kind of 12-year-old Raven. I actually thought that was kind of cool. Like I like that kind of thing. You basically have an adult Dick Grayson, adult Starfire. They're in a relationship. Fight me.
In my version, it's Nightwing and Barbara.
I know. I don't know. I feel like
Nightwing and Starfire is going to be a fling regardless. They're each other's first love, so it doesn't really matter.
I just feel like Corey understands. Like, I feel like they understand each other in a way that, like, because like Barbara and Dick, it's like
Here's a topic for another stream.
Let him finish.
Actually, I'm going to reserve it for the stream, just out of respect for Jared.
Okay,
No,
so you
no, because
essentially
to do that topic justice, instead of it being a side conversation, we're going to do it on another stream.
Okay.
So you
So basically, we're going to do a stream of a ship war stream.
Yeah, that'd be great.
right.
Wonder Bat.
And Snyder Queen is going to be really annoying me. I'll bring backup because I know a few Super Wonder people that understand it.
But Nick, to go back to your idea, so basically you would have had basically the Decamu roster with Cyborg playing liaison, a young Raven,
and I would put John Kent on the Teen Titans.
Really, huh?
Well, if this is if you're having the 12-year-old, you have Damien and John Kent, sure,
because that way they both learn from their peers, and they get to learn directly from a Justice Leaguer because Cyborg is a liaison.
Also, the Titans are a team in this one. Like the Titans are it's basically. So I'm gonna focus on the Titans because that's probably more where like the Titans is Dick Grayson, Starfire,
Roy,
Arsenal, Roy,
Tempest,
Bumblebee.
Would you have Wally?
No, Wally's the Flash in my universe.
What occurred to me, I wasn't done.
No, but the thing is, but also on Titans, I'm gonna put Bumblebee on there and have her be like 26.
Okay.
You know, like a more young adult version of Bumblebee.
Mm-hmm. So, my Justice League lineup, and then this is another point we all have to think about. What would be your Justice League lineup? Now, okay, so my lineup is the Trinity, obviously. Mm-hmm. Wally West Flash.
That's free parking. That's basically your free space.
Actually, I would have essentially Wally West. I would essentially have for my Green Lantern, Jessica Cruz. Because she's been on the League, but she hasn't gotten a lot of attention on the League. And then I would essentially have, obviously, I have to have Manhunter. He's like on there. Yeah. And essentially that would be my Justice League. And then I would honestly do the Titans in my universe would be like the Black Ops team for the Justice League, like they did in Young Justice. Because I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
Because I felt that was actually a really kick-ass idea. The way to give them a purpose beyond just being a team of teenagers.
Because like the Titans were like the Teen Titans, but as like young adults now. It's like they can't really call themselves Teen Titans anymore. So it's like the graduate class. Like you have the Teen Titans, and the Titans are like,
and then the Titans in my universe would be like the transition to JL. In other words, you're on the path to becoming a full-fledged League member. It's just this is the final proving ground.
Or some of them are already honorary Justice League members. Like I can't really
like
think.
Nightwing.
Nightwing is probably a full-fledged leaguer, but like
he would never take it, but he's an. Yeah.
He would probably because like I think the Justice League they have like their main roster and then they have auxiliary members. You know, like for example, Shazam's probably an auxiliary member.
I would bring back the Dark Trinity from Rebirth of Red Hood, Bizarro, and Artemis.
Artemis and Bizarro.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I like that. Okay. Plus, it gives Red Hood a purpose other than being the black sheep of the Bat family. So I'm like,
I don't know. The Outlaws run was pretty good.
It was. All right, here's my roster.
Wait, I'm not done yet. I got one more thing. Okay. And you know who's going to write my Justice League book?
Me?
Jonathan Hickman.
Okay, yeah, he'd do a better job.
Yeah, because guess what? What Hickman does is he is fantastic at telling these epic, long-spanning storylines and putting all these details in there. So when you finally get to that end point, look at his Avengers and New Avengers run.
They really screwed him over for X-Men.
My gosh! Can you imagine if he was able to finish what he established in House of X and Powers of 10, dude? So
like they finally had a good thing going for X-Men. And it's like, oh nope, it's too good. It's too good. We gotta take him off the book.
All right. So now, have we all given our basic outline of DC?
I haven't. But okay. My Justice League roster would be the Trinity.
Okay.
Cyborg playing liaison, so he'd be interchangeable between
Yeah.
the two teams.
Mm-hmm.
Wally West Flash, because Barry would be retired with Iris or semi-retired.
Mm-hmm.
Hawk Girl, Martian Manhunter, and Zatanna and or Constantine. Because I kind of like that dynamic.
You gotta have Constantine, that way you can read in the voice, dude.
I don't know. I could see Zatanna on Titan.
She's been a leaguer,
Constantine-
I think, right?
Yeah, she is a leaguer.
Yeah, but it was
Pretty
more
sure.
of a package deal with Zatanna.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, he'd be on Justice League Dark, but that's a separate conversation.
He was already here, Teladia.
But Teladia.
Yeah, Constantine just kind of does his own thing. Like he's like whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah. Depending on what Zatanna's and Bruce's generation or Nightwing's generation, I would consider her on the Titans roster. It would depend.
Because you know what? Actually, one of my favorite. Because like here's something about like the lore with Zatanna and Zatara. So in the original Action Comics run from like the 30s, Zatara was actually one of the comics in the original Action Comics run. Like if you look at some of the early Action Comics issues, Zatara actually gets a cover instead of Superman. Like
Yeah.
we're talking like 30s. And actually, in some versions of the Batman lore, Batman actually learns his escape artist trick. I think the animated series is the first time we see this from Zatara.
Yeah,
Like that's where he learns like his escape stuff. Also,
Okay.
Drake's saying hi.
that works. Oh, and by the way, I have one more guy I want to put on my JL, Dr. Fate. He'll be my
Okay.
magic guy. Played by Pierce Brosnan in the Justice League movie, obviously.
Of course.
So,
But,
all right.
I'll
So,
finish.
How would
And-
you run so do your roster, and how would you run DC?
Okay. First of all, I would have Scott Snyder in my Justice League book.
There you
I
go. That's a good. You know what's interesting. People named Snyder know how to make kick-ass Justice League content.
As for my Titans roster, I would have the Wolfman roster basically, and they would essentially be like the Young Justice series, where they would essentially be a recon team. And as for the and as for the Teen Titans, I kind of would have the DeCamu roster. The only difference is I would replace Nightwing with Tim Drake because you already have Nightwing on.
Jaime, you gotta have Blue Beetle in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have the
Okay.
DeCamu roster, but instead of Nightwing, you have Tim Drake. You have Red Robin, and Tim and Damian. Those two hate each other.
That would be so good. Can you imagine a book that's just a buddy cop book of Tim Drake and Damian?
They would get nothing done. They would be too busy bickering.
No, what it is basically Tim Drake and Damian wake up at a cabin in the middle of the Swiss Alps in the blizzard, and they have to survive. All the while, League of Assassins keeps trying to come and kill them.
I like that. And by
So
the way-
it's like a survival. What you get like a little kind of predator elements mixed in.
Mhm.
Survival by fire.
What else you got, dude?
Okay. All
We're
right.
putting the heat on you, JJheat.
All right. I would have Batman with Catwoman. Let's go ahead.
There
and
you go.
Just cut the middle.
Because you're right.
You could still have the baby mama drama with Talia. And actually have Selena get in Talia's face one time. Like.
Also,
Sorry,
are we having Helena Wayne, or are we doing Bertinelli?
yes, Helena Wayne. But Helena Wayne would be a little girl in my version, drastically younger than Damian, like 6 or 7 years old.
Also, are you gonna have her like I know in the Birds of Prey TV show, she was kind of like a metahuman that had like kind of cat-like powers, kind of like Black Cat.
that was. I think that was made for the show. Maybe,
Yeah, it was, but like I don't know. I think that would be kind of an interesting thing to see. Like
Depends
I
if
think
she
that
gets the
aspect of her
metagene or not. Depends if she gets the metagene or not. I could see that going
Because her
either way.
parents aren't metas, correct?
No, that just means you're more likely to get power. You're just more likely. Doesn't mean
Mhm.
a metagene can't manifest.
See the problem with giving Huntress like powers is you're kind of making her more like Black Cat, which in some versions of Black Cat she is a mutant with cat-like powers and whatnot. So you're kind
Which is
of
stupid.
Depends on the execution.
Well,
Okay.
basically, I think so. It's like Black Cat. Some of her powers, like probability manipulations, not as good as Domino, but also like the agility stuff. Because
Not
I
to
know
mention-
she was a mutant. mutant in some of her incarnations.
And not to mention, Signal technically has a meta ability, so it would be kind of be more akin to Signal.
Mm-hmm.
I can So you have Damian Wayne as kind of like the bastard child from a previous relationship. Bruce and Selena get together around the time, either right after Dick leaves to become Nightwing, or just before, or just after, or in the aftermath of death in the family.
Now I want to see Catwoman be a stepmom to Damian. Like I don't like I never it's like Catwoman be like I have no idea how to do this, so please, like just like it's something that like I never knew I needed up until this very moment.
And I can see like Damian like holding baby Helena, and I'm like, why are you clinging to me?
Oh,
like, you have your toys. Go.
Also, doesn't Damian respect Catwoman? Like I think in the comics he actually does.
To an extent.
And by the way,
like he sees her as a thief, but like okay, he's like she's worthy of you, father.
Please use protection. But
oh my god, I love that scene. I love that.
So good. That was so good. But sorry,
like,
Barbara is Oracle.
The entire time.
Barbara is Oracle in my universe. A killing joke happened, and she doesn't get her legs back. No.
Or if she does, she just doesn't go as Batgirl anymore. She just walks around.
Stephanie Brown is Batgirl in my universe. There you go.
So Cassandra Cain is just orphan. So
she's just orphan. Yeah, she's just orphan.
I'm sorry, Cassandra Cain as Batgirl is like one of the most underrated runs.
It was.
It could. Okay. And then all right, 2 more books I would have. I forgot to mention these. Booster Gold and Blue Beetle.
Have to.
And The Arrow and Canary. That's the title. It's Green Arrow and Black Canary.
Wait. Hold on.
Written by Kevin Smith.
No.
Oh, really?
No. I would have my Teen Titans roster be Damian Wayne, Robin, Raven, Wallace West, Kid Flash, because you already have Wally as the main Flash, with Barry retired. Amico, I already said, Robin, Amico, Red Arrow, Wallace West, Kid Flash, Roundhouse, and Raven. I would ignore because let's be honest, Jen was essentially a clone of Raven with Starfire mixed in.
Is that Tom Taylor?
Here's what I would do.
Run.
Oh, okay.
Damian, Raven, Arrowette, like he was a Young Justice character. Like I'm kind of mixing things up a little bit.
That's fine.
Jaime Reyes. Trying to think here.
Would you use Beast Boy?
Beast Boys and Titans. I put him in Titans.
Okay.
I'm trying to think here because maybe like I don't know because I'm trying to think of like slots like I'm trying to like think of like who the magic user would be like.
Tempest.
Actually, no, Cyclone.
Okay. And I could definitely see. Hold on, what I was. Dang it, I lost it. But oh, dang it! Hold on, let me think. It was right on the tip of my head. But basically, I would have. Okay, the Titans team. I would have the covert team coordinated by Black Adam. Have Black Adam kind of like be.
No. Black Adam is a blunt instrument.
Where they have to infiltrate.
The liaison is the question for the covert team.
I could see that.
Or Constantine, because Black Adam being the liaison leader of the covert team, it's just like oil and water.
That doesn't work.
Black Adam is like the epitome of a blunt instrument. You know, like instead of going around the wall, he just goes through the wall.
The question is, would you put Black Adam on the Justice League?
No. How about this?
Justice League Dark. He's on Justice League Dark.
He's not magic.
Black Adam as the
his powers are magic.
True, but he's not necessarily associated. Well, he kind of is. So honestly, that's okay.
He'd fill the Superman slot for Justice League Dark.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah. And sometimes there are scenarios where you can't follow the superhero paradigm. There are some altercations where you have to get your hands dirty. So I think, at least in a training capacity, Black Adam could work with Justice League Dark or the reconnaissance team.
The best parts of like Dark Crisis is when he's training the bullshit Justice League, as I call them. In other words,
The Legacy League.
the version picked by John Kent, which is like the word. He literally says.
Roster.
By the way, wait. If Superman and Supergirl are a league unto their own, you don't even need everyone else. What are you talking about? He's like, why do you need 2 Blue Beetles? She's going to betray you. She's going to do this. I love Black Adam, Nick. It's in this such a fantastic moment. He goes through and like outlines all the ways that John's league sucks.
That is. Did Tom Taylor write that? Who wrote that?
No, that was Joshua
Williams. Actually, you know what? I will
that
get
was
the
Joshua
issue.
Williams. That was Joshua Williams giving a big fat middle finger to Tom Taylor.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to pull out the issue and I will read you his
dialogue,
lines. Hang on. You guys talk while I pull out that issue.
Okay, well, he's working on that. But yeah, I could see kind of like what Red Tornado did in the show, where he's essentially like the strategist and just the trainer. Kind of split the role between Red Tornado and Black Canary, where Black Adam just kicking their asses. But you can't rely too much on heroics. There are situations where you must temper that line. I will train you to be what the League could never be. Mm-hmm. Maybe not the Wolfman roster with Nightwing and the others, but like Team Gamma or Beta, basically the later comers. And they end up walking that line between heroing and killing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because the Wolfman roster is too incorruptible. Maybe 1 or 2, but not all of them.
Yeah, like they literally had Trigon try and corrupt them, and they failed, and he failed. So,
oh, I got it. Have a separate reconnaissance team, kind of like Gamma or Beta, where it's the Outlaws coordinated with Black Adam as team leader, and they just go
Red Hood. Well, if you're doing Outlaws, you got to have Red Hood lead it,
and I can
or at least have Red Hood on the team.
No, I'm definitely having Red Hood on the team. It's just I'm gonna have him and Black Adam get in a pissing contest.
I got it. And
all right, after you read this, can we wrap up, please?
Yeah. He asked Jace Fox, by the way, to be the Batman in the League, and Jace Fox goes, "No, the last Batman in the League got killed." So anyway, here's what he says. He goes, "How old?" He goes to like Dr. Light. "How old are you?" She goes, "Excuse me." And then Black Adam goes, "This one will stab you in the back. This one is unstable and would also stab you in the back. Do you really need 2 Blue Beetles and the rest? This is no Justice League. The world needs capable protectors, not children." I'm like, slow claps. He just there's kind of like a meta layer under this. This is the writer saying "F you" to Tom Taylor, and he basically told John Kent, "You're not Superman.
You're not ready for this fight."
No, he says you are not Superman. So I'm like, yes,
you are not prepared.
Yeah. Oh, you will be. You will be.
So,
but the characterization in Dark Crisis is different, because in Dark Crisis, he's just a scrappy kid doing his best. And Tom Taylor, he's might as well be a propaganda piece.
Yeah.
On that note, we're going to wrap this up. Great show tonight, boys. I think we covered a lot of ground. There's reasons to be excited for what else DC Comics has. And for the movie, yeah, I love Black Adam too. He's a fantastic character. So, where can everyone find you guys before we wrap up? I'll start with Nick.
Well, you can find me at Twitter at Project Access 1, on YouTube, search the Phoenix Press, and then on Indiegogo, just search the Screecher.
I'll put the link to Screecher in the chat one more time. And JJheat, where can
much
everyone find you?
appreciated.
Okay, you can find me at JJheat75. My YouTube channel is JJheat. I recently made a comeback doing a SWTOR Let's Play with Sith Marauder.
Woohoo!
All right. And I have a couple of some great content coming out for all you guys, but I'm not going to reveal what it is yet. It's all secrets, all hush hush. But
one last thing in the comments.
Yeah, go
ahead.
ahead.
What do you think is better, Nightwing and Starfire or Nightwing and Oracle? Leave that for the audience.
Nightfire.
Okay, but
Honestly, if you're gonna kick me out, I just would have said Wonderbat again.
okay, I'm gonna end the show now. But stay rock, everyone, and we will see you in the next one. Excelsior!
See y'all.